parade up the hill at McGill. Yes, a couple of firsts for you on the CFL Live today. The first place Owls, the first place Lions. Battle of the best from Montreal. Hey folks, James Duffy along with Matt Dunnigan and Chris Schultz. Thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon with us on the CFL Live. And you know, geographically, no two CFL teams are further apart than BC and Montreal. But in the standings, they are side by side. The two best respective teams in their divisions, and the two most consistent teams so far in the CFL. But Chris, the Lions really kind of have an extra challenge today, don't they?
The BC Lions have two challenges today. Not only are they battling the Montreal Alouettes, but they're also battling the start of this game. 1 o'clock on the East Coast, that's 10 o'clock on the West Coast. Now, in terms of the BC Lions players, that means their pregame meal in their minds and in their body is 6 a.m. That means they had a 5 a.m. wake-up call. The first time these two teams met, the BC Lions beat the Montreal Alouettes because they were so sharp in that first quarter with the big plays. This early start for them in terms of how quick they get off to a jump is everything. And if they don't get off to a jump, then Montreal's going to grind it out. I think the first quarter for the BC Lions is everything, Matt.
Well, it's going to be very, very important. They're going up against an exceptional football team and an exceptional system. Jim Pop put this system together. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Quarterback Tracy Ham goes down, Anthony Calvillo comes in. Running back Mike Pringle goes down, Thomas Haskins comes in. Ed Fillion goes down, Steve Charbonneau comes in. Stephon Reed goes down, Ed Thomas comes in. It just keeps going on and on and on. Depth is the key to Montreal's success, and look for that to play a big factor in today's game, James.
Now, the last time these two teams met, BC won big, but Montreal was in it until Tracy Ham got nicked up and went down. Tracy Ham still a little bit hurt today, so Anthony Calvillo will get the start for the Owls. And for the Lions, well, it's Damon Allen, as always, rebounding from a knee injury last week. MVP candidate, he'll get the start for the Lions. Stay tuned, folks. We're getting ready for football next.
What a great sunny Sunday afternoon for football here in Montreal, and a couple of great teams to play in this one. The BC Lions, tops in the CFL West against Montreal, first in the East. How beautiful a day. Well, these conditions brought to you by the Weather Network. And once again, just justifies the move from Olympic Stadium to the great outdoors here at Molson Stadium. 22 degrees and a slight wind from the southeast. Hi again, everybody. Rod Smith back with Glenn Suter here in Montreal. A couple of great quarterbacks in these franchises, and Damon Allen and Tracy Ham. Ham won't play once again, Glenn, because of a knee injury. That was nearly the case for Damon Allen after what happened last week in Winnipeg.
Yeah, it really is a testament to the resilience of Damon Allen. A week ago versus Winnipeg, he was hit by Joe Fleming in the third quarter, went down with the knee injury. In fact, he was carried off the field, but when they checked it out in Vancouver, there was no structural damage. He'll not only start this game here this afternoon, he'll go end-to-end if he stays healthy.
And if for some reason he can't go, Khari Jones came off the bench last week and was 6 for 8, also rushed for a touchdown. They have a lot of faith in him to fill in for Damon Allen. Greg Mons, what a year it has been for the head coach of the BC Lions. 8-2 this year. If you discount the first 3 games that he coached, where he was 0-3, 14-2 since then in the regular season. And he's got quite a Grey Cup contender.
Well, Charlie Tabb also out to a great record in his rookie season as the head coach. 7-3, he said 2 weeks ago in BC Place Stadium, his team gave up too many big plays. They want to eliminate that here this afternoon.
And you see the Grey Cup. Of course, this could be a Grey Cup preview, but the reason it is here is honoring the 25th anniversary of the 1974 Montreal Alouettes that defeated the Edmonton Eskimos 20-7 in Vancouver at Old Empire Stadium. And Larry Smith, of course, the president of the Montreal Alouettes, was on that team back then. A number of greats, including Johnny Rogers. Remember him, Glenn?
Just an ordinary superstar.
Your ordinary superstar. In fact, when he was introduced earlier, he actually came on and did his trademark. He turned around and did the last 5 yards backwards, which, of course, used to raise the ire of opponents when he would do something like that. But the Cup in Montreal, it has been a while. The last Grey Cup win for the Alouettes was 77, but that was the start of a good run in 1974 for Montreal head coach Marv Levy, who's an NFL TV analyst now. Couldn't make it here, but that was a very good team they had.
And I guarantee you one thing, when they're parading that Grey Cup up and down the sideline, both teams are looking at it. And both teams are saying, guys, that's what we're playing for. And there are going to be some fireworks to start this game this afternoon. When you see that cup out there, you get motivated.
Well, they're not playing for it today. And there he is, Johnny Rogers, a Heisman Trophy winner, top player in U.S. college football back in 1972 with Nebraska, and made some headlines when he joined the Alouettes. back then. 25 years later, this one is underway. Montreal kicking it off in retro uniforms. Emblematic of that time back in 1974, and a short return from Mark Nora or Damon Allen. And the BC Lions offense will be coming out to go to work. As we look at the starting lineup offensively, brought to you by Midas Car Care, the way it should be. Damon Allen has so much talent to work with. Of course, with Robert Drummond. Look for Juan Johnson to get in on that offense as well, just coming back. And up front, a great all-Canadian offensive line, hoping to protect Damon Allen again today. They've done a great job so far with the top record in the Canadian Football League at 8-2. And Allen and the Lions to go to work today, as Glenn had mentioned. Allen taking that injury last week in Winnipeg, and what a scary sight that must have been to see him carried off. As good as Khari Jones is and can be, they depend highly, of course, on Damon Allen. The handoff and short yardage for Robert Drummond, Mark Nora. Short gain, if a gain at all.
Defensively for the Montreal Alouettes, of course, up front led by Alfred Payton, 12 sacks on the season. Of course, he gets some help from Ed Fillion. He's replaced Doug Peterson. And in the secondary, Baron Miles has been a ball hawk, 3 interceptions, and he has 2 touchdowns on the year.
Alfred Payton, talk about an MVP on defense. And yeah, that'll be a problem for the Lions to keep that guy out of Damon Allen's face, or coming up behind his back. Allen does throw on second down, but the closest receiver there was Rod Harris, but it goes out of bounds, and the Lions will be punting 2 and out. Harris had his best day of the season a couple of weeks ago against the Alouettes. A couple of touchdowns, 4 catches. A lot of big plays.
Well, he's got a lot of big play guys. That's Greg Mons, and mentioned Juan Johnson. We will see him this afternoon. Juan Johnson didn't start the game. They started Mark Nora. Johnson is the DI, but he will play with Drummond in the same backfield here this afternoon.
Louis Pasaglia, age 45, and still kicking well, and gets that punt away. Winston October takes it at his 25. Paul Lacoste and company. Kelly Lockbaum there as well to take him down for a gain of just a couple of yards after a 46-yard punt. Anthony Calvillo once again getting the start in lieu of the injury to Tracy Ham. As we look at the Alouettes backs and receivers offensively, Thomas Haskins with the injury to Jock Climby. What a great addition, putting him in at slot back. Had a big game last week. And up front, a great offensive line, of course, led by that left tackle who was an all-star last year, Uzuma Okeke. Big 53 and a very big line up front to protect Calvillo, who was 20 for 27 last week when they annihilated the Hamilton Tiger Cats here at McGill. Handing off to Mike Pringle. Heads right, bowls his way for a good gain, about 5 yards for the Alouettes.
Defensively for BC, Johnny Scott leads the team in sacks with 5, but David Benefield is having an all-star season in the linebacking core. And in the secondary, they call him the wrecker in the Don Lindsay defense, but Raphael Robinson, they say, is their best defender.
So a good first down for the Alouettes. It sets up about 2nd and 5 for Calvillo. Call it 2nd and 4 at the 36. And he's standing in shotgun formation. And looking out for Michael Souls, but it goes over his head and out of bounds. So 2 and out for the Alouettes as well.
I think Anthony Calvillo wanted to wait a little bit longer to deliver that football, but he couldn't because Johnny Scott was bearing down.
That'll be a problem.
Well, the battle in the trenches this afternoon is going to be an interesting one to watch, because both teams have veteran offensive lines that have played together for a couple of years, and they have some pretty good pass rushers on defense as well. So we'll watch the war in the trenches as this one goes on.
Terry Baker standing back at his 20 to get this one away early in the first quarter. And the wind picks it up a little bit as Jimmy the Jet Cunningham, who really hurt the Alouettes the last time they met, and is hauled down. Could be a face masking call there after a 45-yard punt. A penalty coming up against the Alouettes. Scoreless early. You're watching CFL Live on TSN.
CFL Live on TSN is brought to you by Castrol GTX Drive Hard. And by Molson Canadian. Here's where we get Canadian.
Welcome back, Glenn. You've been wondering why you've been getting those headaches. Could that be it?
They're going nuts here at Molson Stadium.
Oh, boy, I got a headache just watching it. Early in this game in a scoreless tie, the fake by Damon Allen to pass. He has a man wide open who took punishment for it on the incompletion. Don Blair was the receiver, overthrown, and as he lunged for it, he really did take a pop, Glenn.
The key to that seam pass when you see Don Blair going down the seam is to get the ball in there in a hurry because the Montreal defense is playing zone. Dwight Henry's hanging off in the deep zone. If he has time to get over there, he's going to put the big hit on Don Blair. If Damon Allen throws that one with a little more zip, Blair catches that one and maybe he's still running.
He certainly had him open on that first down, 2nd and 10. The Owls, thanks to a penalty on the punt return, got good field position out of it as Allen scrambles around as all sorts of daylight. Tracy Gravely in pursuit, but Allen almost effortlessly waltzes down close to the Montreal 40 and a big first down BC.
Well, if you're wondering if Greg Mons was just giving everyone a line about the health of Damon Allen and how he was fine in practice, this should answer the question for you. Steps up in the pocket, bounces out of there, runs as smooth as he ever has, not favoring the knee one bit, and then gets up there, gets the first down, and wisely slides to the ground. It looks like Damon Allen is healthy.
And it looks like Tracy Gravely would have to go back for his shoes after that move by Allen. Down near the Montreal 42. Lions on the move. And Allen, a shuffle pass to Juan Johnson, just his 2nd game back after being let go by the Miami Dolphins. Had only 14 yards rushing last week, only 5 carries, so he gets the ball for the first time today.
Yeah, we're going to see him and Robert Drummond in the same backfield this afternoon, no question. Mark Norris started the game, but Juan Johnson, they'd love to get him into the lineup as much as possible. You don't want to do it too quickly. He just came back from Miami. Want to make sure he's comfortable with the offense again and with the personnel and everybody, and the timing is right, but we'll see him carry the football a lot more here today.
Drummond is in there now for the Lions as they send 3 to the right. Allen steps up, will take off again and get close to another first down. I believe he will have it down at the Montreal 32.
Charlie Taft told me that the Montreal defense will come with a lot more blitz here this afternoon. Baron Miles is going to come from the secondary, but you see the hole open up. When you're blitzing people from the secondary, everyone on defense has to keep their gaps. And that time Montreal opened up a little bit of a gap, let Damon Allen escape. If everyone controls their gaps, there's nowhere for Damon Allen to run. You see he got enough for the first down. So you got to control your gaps defensively, especially when you're sending one more than they can block.
It always seemed to me over the years that the whole offense was predicated and most dangerous when he was running the football. And I know with all the weapons they have, they want to take that pressure off him. But that extra dimension of Allen running the ball makes them so difficult.
Well, no question, because it keeps your defense honest. When he can stretch the corners and take off and run, everyone has to stay disciplined. That opens things up for Robert Drummond.
Damon Allen has rushed twice for 2 first downs on this drive. The swing pass to Drummond. And Robert Drummond has more. Bulling his way down to the 15 before he's ridden out of bounds.
Dan Payne at the point of attack really blows a hole wide open for Robert Drummond. And it's a big hole because it's a big guy. I mean, Dan Payne's right here is going to pull this way around the corner. Now watch when he takes off and just steamrolls a couple Alouette defenders. Here he comes. Watch him come around the corner. Rashid Giddings in there. Ed Fillion, look at that pile. Took 2 of them out of there, and then Drummond takes off and heads down the field. That's a 300-something pounder. He's saying 300 in the program. I think it's about 330.
The saying goes, no pain, no gain. They got a gain that time. The pass to Don Blair, trying to maneuver his way across the 10. He does. Gets down to the 9 on a good gain and first down of about 7 yards.
This is a great challenge for the Montreal defense, because with this offense in BC, you really have to pick your poison. I mean, you throw one out there to Don Blair. You just gave the last one to Robert Drummond. Anywhere you look in this offensive alignment, they have got some great players. Look at Don Blair. At any time, he can break one out of there. So if you're the offensive coordinator for the BC Lions, Joe Powell, pick your poison.
They have a lot of weapons, and they've been using a lot of them on this drive. On a 2nd and 3 inside the Montreal 10. Out of the shotgun, quick handoff inside the Drummond, has the first down. It'll be 1st and goal BC inside to about the 3-yard line.
I love the mix, the play calling, and the game plan right now that Damon Allen and Joe Paopao have going for them. Now, Joe Paopao loves to script the first 12 to 15 plays offensively, which means that they have already decided what their first 12 plays are going to be, and then after 12, they start to go with a few from Damon Allen, a few from Joe Paopao, and they mix it up. But right now, they've got that Montreal defense on their heels, running the ball and throwing it. Great mix right so far offensively.
It'll be 1st and goal from the 4. The second possession for the Lions in this game, and it has been a good one. They have really, as Glenn mentioned, kept this Alouette defense guessing. Some discussion with an official before they get the play going.
I'll tell you what the discussion is about. The official wants to make sure that Juan Johnson, number 23, that is the DI, and they want to make sure that they have substituted him correctly.
When he is the DI, he must be put in, and another import has to come out. Quick move by Rod Harris. They hand off to Drummond, and the Alouettes have it read and stepped up and taken down Jason Richards. Rashawn Giddings, middle linebacker, in there on the tackle.
Yeah, Jason Richards and Ed Fillion are really the key in there. They really plugged up the middle. Ed Fillion's been a great story here in Montreal. He had to replace Doug Peterson, and that's big shoes to fill. Rashad Giddings comes around, gets first contact. But really, Robert Drummond had nowhere to go because of the play by Richards and Fillion right over the middle of that defense.
Even after losing Doug Peterson, the Alouettes haven't missed a beat. They're very strong defensively inside, and they'll have to stay that way. Gain of a half yard. 2nd and goal, BC. Out of the shotgun. Tries the shovel pass. Does. Touchdown, Lions. Robert Drummond. Little hesitation by Damon Allen, but gets it off to Drummond, and BC has the lead.
Wow, great play, and one that the Montreal defense hasn't seen all year. It looked like it was going to go to the jet, to the outside, but you see, Robert Drummond faked like he was going to go to his left, came back across for the little shovel pass, and he is untouched crossing that goal line.
So the Lions, who dominated Montreal in their last meeting, are off to the same kind of start in this game. A very impressive drive in this first quarter as we await the convert from Louis Pasaglia. No doubt. The Lions have the 7-0 lead, quelling the crowd somewhat here in Montreal on CFL Live. Midway through the first quarter here in Montreal, the Lions have the 7-0 lead on a great drive. 9 plays, 63 yards. Damon Allen leading them downfield, and this is what capped it off to Robert Drummond.
Well, the only guy that could stop Drummond was Stephon Reed, but he gets pulled out of there by Jimmy the Jet Cunningham on alignment. See, he gets pulled out of the box. You're going to lose him right here for a second. But Stephon Reed is gone from the middle of the field. That leaves the big hole for Robert Drummond to run through. That was by alignment a successful play.
And the ensuing kickoff by Pasaglia is short. Return up across the 30. Thomas Haskins on that return, and Anthony Calvillo will come back on for the Alouettes' second possession of this game. The first one was 2 and out.
I think what's been impressive with Anthony Calvillo is he's starting to learn how to make good decisions as a quarterback. When you look at his stats, 6 touchdown passes, only 3 interceptions. I mean, when those interceptions start to drop, it means he's making good decisions with the football. Unfortunately for him, he's kind of behind the 8 ball to start the game after the great drive by BC.
And he will start here at the Montreal 34. Fakes the handoff and throws off to his right. It's complete. Big Michael Soles has it and has an Alouette first down up across the 50. And flags come down after he goes down.
Looks like they may get some more yardage tacked on with a little unnecessary roughness by the BC Lions. This is a play that is always great, has been great for Michael Soles throughout his career, because everyone thinks Michael Soles is only there to block.
Unnecessary roughness. BC number 12. First down.
Dale Joseph.
He was fighting over there with Alfonso Browning. I think he threw him to the ground after the whistle blown. But when you think about Michael Soles, you're thinking about a guy that you game plan to take on as a blocker. And then he'll always sneak out of there 3-4 times a game and catch a pass like that. He usually is wide open.
It's been mentioned many times. And he, of course, had some great days here at McGill, his college days playing for the Redmen. won a national championship. On the carry is Pringle. Left side has a few yards, maybe 4 as he gets close to the Alouette 40. This drive moving along quickly after that roughing penalty tacked onto the Souls gain.
Now you talk about guys who are a little bit nicked. Mike Pringle is a bit nicked as well, and you're going to have to, you know, lose a body part before you're going to take Mike. Mike Pringle's not coming out of the football game.
49 career 100-yard rushing games. That is amazing. And this just his 8th season.
And look at the record when he gets 100.
Can almost take it to the bank. Alouettes know that very well. Pringle, this time trying to catch the ball. He drops it. What would have been a lot of daylight ahead of him had he hung on to it.
Yeah, it looks like the Montreal offense is going to try and make Paul Lacoste cover in pass coverage. That time Lacoste gambled, and it almost hurt the BC Lions in a big way. You're going to see number 58 go for the football underneath. See how Pringle opened up? If he hangs onto the ball, he's in the end zone. They're going to try and make him cover. Paul Lacoste, as a rookie middle linebacker, is doing a nice job from tackle to tackle stopping the run. If he has a weakness, it's in his coverage ability.
Terry Baker will attempt this field goal from 52 yards away. He easily has that kind of range. This slightly against the breeze. He pushes it off to the right. Jimmy Cunningham wanders around a little bit with it to kill off some time, but they will concede the single point. So the Alouettes do get on the board, but not the way they would have preferred. 7-1 BC in the first quarter in Montreal. And welcome back to Molson Stadium. Rod Smith and Glenn Suter up in the booth. Michael Whalen down on the sideline. Michael?
Yeah, Rod, you saw the 1974 Grey Cup champions being introduced before the game. Those players used to play at the old Autostad, an awful place to watch football, and many of them had heard about the demise of the franchise over the years, and they have to be heartened by the fact that there's another full house, the 5th in a row here at Molson Stadium, and it all started with one of the players on their team, Larry Smith.
That's right. Former commissioner, of course, president of the team, and had a big hand in getting football back to Montreal. Flag down on the first down. Damon Allen on the run. It's interesting. Michael talks about the Autostad, Glenn. What goes around comes around. Before the Autostad, the Alouettes for a time played here at Molson Stadium.
BC number 9.
Well, they should never have
Still
left.
first down.
Because it is a great atmosphere here in Molson Stadium. My first visit this season, and I love coming here because the crowd is exciting to be around. It's a packed house, one more sellout, and they love to party in here. I mean, they just get up on their feet and they're dancing in the break, and it's a great atmosphere.
And it's a problem the CFL hasn't known for a long time, but not enough seats here. Another sellout, 19,461. Great atmosphere with a shotgun after a penalty on 1st and 15 for the Owls, intended for the Lions, intended for Jimmy Cunningham. It goes incomplete.
2nd and 15.
Jimmy Cunningham. He had a big day against Montreal 2.5 weeks ago, just before Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, the Jet really took off in that game. I mean, he caught a little underpass, about 6-yard throw, and took it to the end zone on a couple of great moves on Baron Miles, who has really played well at the halfback position. That's not easy to do against Miles, and Jimmy the Jet really took off in that game.
There was a 58-yarder for a touchdown in that one. Help open it up. Allen looked like the pass was partially deflected, but it is completed. Not enough for a first down, however, up to the BC 45, so the Lions will be punting.
Well, rookie Dwight Henry is going to play very smart on Eddie Brown. There's Eddie Brown's going to run the little out pattern. Now watch how he just stays in his back pedal, stays high, respects his speed. He knows where the first down marker is. So Dwight Henry is just going to play off him, turns up in front of the first down marker, no problem. We'll come up there, push him out of bounds, and they'll have to punt the football.
Winston October, number 11, back to handle that for the Alouettes. And Louis Pasaglia standing at his 30. It takes some time in getting this off. Now it's whistled in. With a nice high spiral by Pasaglia. October across the 30, has some room. Flag down as he gets up about the 39 Montreal after a 40-yarder. This is CFL Live on TSN. It's a tough part of the schedule for the BC Lions. Montreal today, and then they have to face the Calgary Stampeders in a fight for first in the West. And if you want a ticket for that, 1-800-663-9311 or 280-4400 for that one. September the 25th. That game will have on TSN as well, and the Lions 2-0 so far this year against the Stamps. On first down, the handoff to Mike Pringle.
Well, Irv Smith got a holding call on the punt return, so that's why the Montreal Alouettes were backed up to their end of the field. So Anthony Calvillo will have to put a good drive together to get any points out of this one, or at least get the field advantage back.
As Charlie Taft looks on. And has to be pleased, especially the way his team played last week, rebounding from the loss to the Lions 2 weeks ago to their best game of the year against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, albeit a pretty banged up Tiger Cat team here in Montreal. Out of the shotgun on second and short. Calvillo under pressure. They've got him. Taken down. Herman Smith is there, and Johnny Scott as well. And Montreal will be punting again.
Well, pretty good pressure from the BC Lions. You know, they don't have a whole lot of sacks on the year, but what they do is get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. Herm Smith is having a great season, a quiet season. Talked about the great season that David Benefield is having. I think he's having an all-star year, and then you get the good push from Dave Chaters and Johnny Scott game in and game out. So they may not have a lot of sacks on the board, but they do get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks.
Terry Baker second in the CFL in punting average, over 47. Gets another good one away. It's low and driving into that wind, and Jimmy Cunningham chases it back and fumbles it out of bounds at the BC 20. Great punt by Baker after a 60-yarder, and no return, of course, for the Lions. And a bit of a smile from Baker as he walks off the field.
One of the things in matchups that we will watch is Jamie Terrace, who's moved over to center early in the season, something he hadn't done all year, against Ed Fillion, who we talked about how he's replaced Doug Peterson in the lineup at the nose guard position. So a veteran against a young rookie who has really impressed the coaching staff here in Montreal.
Jamie Terrace moving over after the early season injury to Scott Hendrickson. And Fillion, yes, a rookie, although in his late 20s with that time in the National Football League. But yeah, this is first go-around in the CFL. The handoff to Robert Drummond. And a short gain for the Lions.
Arrêté par Stéphane Reed et Swift Burge.
And Glenn mentioned the injury to Irv Smith when he was called for that penalty in the punt return, and he's out of the lineup for the Alouettes right now.
Davis Sanchez is in at the corner, but apparently Irv Smith will be okay and return to the lineup as soon as he can. You got to stay out for 3 plays at least.
There he is looking on and looking ready to get back into this one. Out of the shotgun on second down. Allen throws as Eddie Brown complete. And a first down for the Lions up across their 20.
But you know, Damon Allen looks over there. He sees Irv Smith out of the lineup. He's going to want to try and get one out there. You know, Eddie Brown's got the great speed, and with a guy like Davis Sanchez, who is a rookie, you got to respect that speed and stay off him. And he's going to see how he gives him a big cushion. What I mean by cushion is the distance between the receiver and the defensive back, and it was about 4 yards. That allowed Eddie Brown to turn in front of him and come up with the catch.
Eddie Brown was with the Alouettes to start the season last year, and had a disagreement with Dave Ritchie and wound up being let go. Hooked up with the Lions. Swing pass for Jimmy Cunningham. Tries to hop over a tackler but loses yardage. They take him down at the 20. A loss of the play.
Mark Washington does a nice job in the open field. The Montreal defense was going to come with a little bit of pressure, and this is a way to beat pressure. Get it to the outside to a one-on-one, but look at that tackle in the open field. That's one of the best in the business, making you miss in the open field. And Mark Washington keeps his head up, hangs onto that heel, and when the jet tries to take off, he grounds him.
So 2nd and 13 with the loss on the pass to Cunningham. Allen wanting to air it out. They've got him sacked.
Guess who?
And it's the sack man, Alfred Payton. Leads the CFL, and he adds to his total there, and a big defensive play for Montreal.
Alfred Payton. Right here in your screen. Watch him come off the football. He's working on the outside on Corey Mantica. Little rip move. The rip move with the right arm. He rips the arm underneath Corey Mantica's arms, blows right by him, and is in the backfield. Damon Allen has no chance, and that's why you get to see the dance.
The sack dance for the leader in that category in the CFL, and the punt by Pasaglia. Winston October. Well, a good field position up across midfield for the Alouettes to go to work after a 44-yard punt.
And that's the big point right there, Rod, is that they got great field position because that sack put them way back. And now, for the first time, Anthony Calvillo's getting a chance to get the ball around the midfield mark. So that's a big difference in field position, and it changes your offensive game plan. Now, Charlie Taft over there with Anthony Calvillo can do a lot of different things offensively because they've got better field position, and it looks like the Montreal Alouettes may get a penalty to push it back a little bit, but this is probably their best field position of the day.
And they will be pushed back to their 41-yard line after a 15-yard penalty. A holding call against the Alouettes on that return. We're ticking down to quarter time here in Montreal. And this might be the last play of it. The pass complete to Michael Scholes. Having a busier than average day with the football. Couple of catches for Scholes as he gets up to midfield, and a first down for Montreal.
Well, you know the defense in BC have to respect Mike Pringle. You see what the fake did. The fake pulls the linebacker Paul Lacoste and Antonio Armstrong, number 50, right over to Mike Pringle. And when he does that, it takes a long time to get back in coverage. And Anthony Calvillo, it's lucky that he was open, that wide open, because he had to get rid of that football.
And this will be the last play of the quarter with zeros on the clock. They hand off to Pringle on the left side. Not much doing, but he spins and gets a couple more yards. Johnny Scott in the tackle, and a frustrated Keith Franklin as well. A few more yards for Pringle. 7-1 BC at quarter time here in Montreal.
You're watching the CFL Live, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by 1-800-HI-IT'S-ME. It's the cheapest way to call. Collect.
Hello again, Duffy, Dunnigan, and Schultz back at TSN Football Control. Last time these two teams played, we had 36 points scored in the first quarter, so the defenses have tightened things up. Schultz, before the game, you talked about how BC might be jet lag and they might suffer early. Wrong.
Well, I tell you what, BC Lions, second time they have the football, they drive down for the score, they're ready to play. And as we watch this play, I'll give you a great indication of how. Watch the left guard, Payne. He's going to do some remarkable things here. He's going to pull to his left, and he's going to take out two Alouettes. He rumbles down. He sees Ed Fillion. Well, he's going to knock him right out of the screen right now. He moves his hips, goes upfield, hits the defensive back, knocks him out of off balance, and Henry knocks him out of the off the sidelines there. Great play, Matt. I like the way the BC Lions have played football this first quarter.
Yeah, James mentioned the 3-hour difference. You talked about top of the show. They simply have turned the tables on Montreal. It's like two prize fighters. We saw the fight last night, Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad. These guys are just kind of feeling each other out. Oscar De La Hoya's come out strong, and the BC Lions look for the Trinidad to pick it up, which they are now. Swift Birch, a good play defensively, turning them around a little bit. Now they look like they're in the fight. Looks like a great matchup again, James.
And definitely no knockout punches so far. It is just a 7-1 game. Both these teams have kind of been slow starters this season. The second quarter has been their strongest quarter for both of them all season long. Let's see if they can get some points on the board as we head back to Montreal.
Back in Montreal, there is something to cheer about. Although the Alouettes are still looking for the first touchdown drive in this game, they have the ball. We look at the numbers for the first quarter. Charlie Taft talks things over with today's backup quarterback, Tracy Ham. And the first quarter stats brought to you by Castrol GTX. Drive hard.
Yeah, this one down at the bottom is one that Montreal's got to be concerned with, because if the BC Lions are controlling the football that long, that defense in Montreal is going to start to wear down as the game progresses.
So this is a good sign for the Alouette defense. The Alouettes have already got one first down in this drive. Flags down on the second down and long. The ball never even snapped. Calvillo pulling away from center Mike Sutherland.
Well, after the long break, it looked a little bit like Anthony Calvillo forgot the snap count.
Montreal number 13, still second down.
Either that or Mike Sutherland forgot it.
Who blames who?
Yeah. Well, you know Calvillo won't blame Sutherland. Sutherland's about 300 pounds. You don't blame guys like that. You just say, hey, my fault.
Plus, it was only Calvillo who moved. The rest of the line was still. So They seem to be in sync up front. And 2nd and 12 now after the penalty. As Calvillo will pass and have a man, Ben Cahoon. And Eric Carter is being called for interference. The flag did go down on that play.
Eric Carter was trying to get around Ben Cahoon to get to the football, and they obviously feel that he interfered with him. It looked to me like Anthony Calvillo was looking for Thomas Haskins. He was covered well by Dale Joseph, so Eric Carter was the guy who went after, and I think Carter's left arm was on Ben Cahoon's shoulder pads, and that's the call. That's why it'll keep the drive alive with the first down. One of the matchups we'll watch, though, will be Dale Joseph on Thomas Haskins, who's had to move out to the slot back position. And this is where the coverage that Dale Joseph put on Haskins. Of course, Haskins normally a tailback, and Dale Joseph having an all-star year at the halfback position.
So with the interference by Carter, first down Montreal in BC territory, and Pringle's running. Here we go. Mike Pringle, first down again, down inside the 30 to about the 25.
Well, Pringle gets some good blocks to the point of attack from his offensive lineman over there, Zumo KK and Pierre Bergeville. You see how Bergeville cut off Paul Lacoste, number 58. That gave him the opening at the point of attack, and then Pringle's in the secondary, and it's just a matter of trying to corral him and get him out of bounds. You don't want to get him going.
Zumo KK and some good blocking up front for Mike Pringle, who knows how to take advantage of it. First down, play fake, Calvillo over the middle, wide open. Alfonso Browning, another first down Montreal inside the BC 10.
Alfonso Browning made that catch look easy, but it wasn't easy. I guarantee you that. He had to come back across his body in traffic, and I'm telling you, you come across the middle as a wide receiver or slot back, there are bullets flying in there. You know you're going to get hit. He comes across and makes a very, very difficult catch look easy.
The ball is marked right at the 10, so call it essentially 1st and goal. I guess you could call it 1st and 10, but that's what it's going to take to get in. The handoff. Pringle tries to cut for a couple of yards, but it's a short gain for Montreal.
Herm Smith really destroys the play by penetration because he gets in the backfield, and when the Alouettes try and pull the guard Brian Chu, he can't get around the corner. So you're going to see the great penetration right at the point of attack. And watch as it penetrates. Number 91 gets back in the backfield. See 68 Chu. See how he has to get around OKK. He can't get out there cleanly to put the block on Paul Lacoste, so there's no opening. Herm Smith with penetration stops the play.
In his 3rd year out of Portland State. And it's 2nd and long. Remember, the Alouettes have to get it into the end zone here. And they try it. Wide open. Touchdown. The ever-versatile Thomas Haskins at slot back hauls it in, and Montreal has a chance to take the lead.
Antonio Armstrong, the linebacker, was back there with Haskins, but the mistake is made by number 22, Raphael Robinson. That's not a matchup the BC Lions want to get into with Antonio Armstrong one-on-one Thomas Haskins. Raphael Robinson is designed to help in the coverage and got up in the line of scrimmage.
And some discussion involving Terry Baker, waiting to get this convert off.
I don't think they have enough guys. They have enough guys on the field.
And a flag is down for a time count violation.
They didn't have enough guys.
But it goes from a convert attempt to a very short field goal.
One, two. Well, there was 3. We're not going to count Greg Mons. He wasn't on the field. There we go. 1, 2. Now there's the guy who came in. He came in late there.
But I mean, a wiser move for the Alouettes, because it's still, as I say, it's like a short field goal for this convert.
Right over there, Sheldon Benoit. He was late getting on the field.
Then, albeit early in this game, but a pretty important point, because it would be for the lead, up and in. And the Alouettes do have the lead for the first time in this ball game, thanks to the touchdown by Thomas Haskins. Celebration in Montreal. It's 8-7.
CFL Live on TSN is brought to you in part by AT&T Canada, the network the world works on.
Raphael Robinson right here. Now, Antonio Armstrong's in coverage at this side of the field. If Raphael Robinson reads pass, he's got to get back deep to help out his linebacker. You see how that ball goes right over his head, and then number 50, Antonio Armstrong, just couldn't catch up.
Oh, kickoff return. Jimmy Cunningham loses his hat.
Oh!
My goodness. What a pop.
Man, that was big time.
Rasan Giddings. And our heads are hurting up here.
Would you rather be the hammer or the nail? Watch this hit. Pow! You know, a lot of guys get in the huddle on special teams. They say, come down, let's go down there and knock his head off. Well, they did it on that play. Whoa.
Later in the game at the end, we will bring you the crunch of the game. And I have a feeling that's a candidate.
Well, that's the front runner right now, I guarantee you. And Jimmy the Jet, amazingly, is in the game. He's coming back in. He had to make sure that all of his equipment was okay. But he's trying to go over there and talk to the ref and say, you got to give me a couple seconds to find my chin strap and my ear pads and my helmet and everything. I got my equipment was shot all over the place there. But I'm amazed that he is in there. So he's just trying to shake it off now, pull up his socks. And he just knocked his socks and his hat right off.
Of course, the frightening thing about it is, like the hit on the carpet afterwards, it brought the helmet off. But a scoring drive capped off by the 8-yard catch by Thomas Haskins. Just before that, 8 plays, 69 yards. Alouettes right back in this game and leading it by a point.
And that drive started with good field position. And it was their first time they had good field position. It makes a difference.
There's an injured player down on the field for the Alouettes. So we'll take a break and come back. BC has the ball here on CFL Live in Montreal. Another sellout crowd here in Montreal, and if you want a ticket, you got to get one early. I'm sure that's comfortable, although a little further away, checking in a little bit of football. And hey, if you want a ticket for next week, BC plays against Calgary. You see the number there. Give it a call. On first down.
That's called a sellout.
Oh, yeah. Is it ever? Huh?
That's a sellout.
Now, you know, that's not such a bad deal. You just got to get one of those small fridges out.
Well, I got to, yeah, you got to get the fridge out there. But what I want to know is, how did they get the couch up on the roof?
There you go. Well, we are at McGill University, and I just sense a student ploy here.
That's great.
And it is a nice day to be out there and catch some rays and watch a little bit of football. Full marks for creativity. And
wow, look at that stat. First down production.
Big difference. BC here on second down and 6. Allen to pass. Wide open is Cunningham. Nobody near him. Easy first down and more. Looking for some blocks as he gets to midfield. BC on the move again.
This was the play 2 weeks ago that Jimmy the Jet scored on. They were in man-to-man 2 weeks ago. This time Montreal is playing zone, dropping way off. You're going to see the drop. See, they're just let the guy go inside. Let Jimmy the Jet cross the field. Mark Washington going to drop out of there. So are the linebackers. And that's why he had so much room to run with the football. The last time he did it, they were in man-to-man, and he scored on it. This time he got a gain, but he didn't score.
And that gain was 20 yards. As the Lions are now in enemy territory. Out of the shotgun. Allen rolling to his left. Eludes Swift Birch and gets it away, but it's incomplete. Intended for Alfred Jackson, who looks like he wanted a call. Some tight coverage there with Tracy Gravely, but it'll be 2nd and 10.
Tracy Gravely's had some injury problems, but they are real happy to have him in the lineup and healthy again. He had a toe problem, missed 3 games with it. Tracy Gravely, the key in the linebacking core when it comes to adjustments in the coverage, and with a team they're playing like the BC Lions, Tracy Gravely becomes that much more important because they got so many threats by receivers. You need a guy who can not only stop the run in Robert Drummond, but that can adjust on some of those receivers and do a nice job in coverage. And that time he was all over Alfred Jackson.
Allen in shotgun again on 2nd down. Fires to his right. looking for Cunningham, but it's incomplete. So BC will be punting.
They've been trying to work the outside of the field, the BC offense, and they haven't had a whole lot of success from it. And the reason they're trying to do it is because the Montreal defense is going to take inside position. 2 weeks ago, they got beat on inside crossing routes, but now they're going to take it away. And now when you run the out, you're going to be open on the out, but it's a timing pattern to get it over. See how he takes the inside position? Baron Miles won't allow the Jet to get inside the middle of the field where it's an easier throw. He'll make Damon throw it to the sideline.
The punt by Louis Pasaglia. Winston October at his 12. And not much more across the 15 to about the 17 after a 40-yard kick by Louis Pasaglia. Anthony Calvillo getting ready to head in again on CFL Live.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Gibson's finest 12-year-old Canadian whiskey.
Alouette football, 1st and 10 from the 17. Mike Pringle in there again. Look at the comparison as he racks up the yardage to the great George Reed.
Well, who is the best? Very close. Of course, Pringle has the edge in average gain per carry by 1 yard. That's a debate that's gone on for a couple of years now.
And there is Pringle getting it up, pulling his way over across the 20. George Reed, of course, the all-time leader in rushing yardage in Canadian Football League.
That's yards as a Montreal Alouette. Of course, Mike Pringle close to 10,000 yards in his career. And at this pace, Mike Pringle is going to pass George Reed by Labor Day 2003 if he can stay in the lineup that long.
Right. And if he can stay healthy, yeah, it's hard to believe that he wouldn't do it. Chasing a couple of Georges, as you saw. George Reed all-time, but all-time for the Alouettes, George Dixon, and very close. He should do that this season. The completion to Ben Cahoon on 2nd down and long, and it's a 1st down for the Alouettes. Cahoon up across the 30.
Well, Ben Cahoon's just going to come underneath the pattern, a little bit of a rub route, and Eric Carter can't make up the ground in time. But that's the other factor that Pringle gives you. With him in the lineup, even if he's not touching the football, he's helping your offense because you got to dedicate at least 8 on defense to number 27.
Calvillo on 1st down, passing again. Off to his right to a wide-open Cahoon again. There was a time earlier this season when they nicknamed him one a week because that's all he would catch, one a game. But he just has 2 in a row there, and he has been busier in this one. The sticks move again for Montreal. He was wide open.
The speed of Tyree Davis is the reason he's wide open. Tyree Davis had run straight down the field on a go route, and he influenced Eric Carter. He took Eric Carter to the corner way deep, and when Carter came out of there, he turned around and then left Ben Cahoon short. But Tyree Davis, with great speed down the seam, got the attention of Eric Carter, and when he did, he left Ben Cahoon open.
So a couple of Cahoon catches and a couple of 1st downs. The Alouettes on the move in BC territory, but not on the move that time. Pringle with the ball, but not going anywhere.
Herman Smith again is really having himself a game early here this afternoon. He is pushing that line of scrimmage back. You know, he's the guy that no one talks about on the D line. Herman Smith, when you're playing opposite David Benefield and you got Scott and Chaders in the middle, you don't talk about Herman Smith. Well, Herman Smith grades out probably the best in that front 4 every game.
A loss of about a half yard for the Alouettes and 2nd and long. Calvillo knocked down at the line, intercepted.
Guess who? Herman
Smith is the one who does it. And what a big turnover while the Alouettes were driving BC football.
Well, the ball is knocked down at the line of scrimmage by a reserve guy in Noah Cantor, I believe, who was in the lineup on the rotation. Watch number 92 on the nose position. He's pushing back. Sutherland holds him out of there, but Cantor gets a vertical, and then Herman Smith does his impersonation of an athlete there. And I know he'll talk to me about that one because he's a great athlete for a man his size. When you talk about a guy who weighs 280 pounds, turn around and dive like that, come up with a big catch, they might want to put him on offense.
That's a pretty loaded compliment you got for him there. He'll take it. When they're big and they play football and they're strong, if they're over 280, they're athletes, sir. Great athletes. Flagging the play, Robert Drummond. Good gain on that handoff. And he gets nearly first down yardage for BC. I'll have to wait and see if it stands.
There is a natural gap for Robert Drummond to run through there if this gain stands, made by the size of Dan Payne.
And it will stand. It's an offside against the Montreal Alouettes.
Dan Payne's size creates a gap.
Offside. Montreal number 90. Decline.
Watch Dan Payne. Dan Payne, his nickname is Mountain. Here he is. Here, see that gap? Hey, there's a mountain of a gap there. So he just slides over there, and Drummond just says, I'll go right behind Mountain.
Just curious how he could have got that nickname.
Well, because you stand beside him, and he blocks the sun.
You know, you talk about athletes, and Dan Payne, a very big man. You remember last year, the war of words between him and Greg Peterson? Back when BC was playing Montreal, of course. Peterson then an Alouette. And,
yeah.
You know, Dan Payne was an Olympic wrestler as well for Canada. And anyway, he didn't appreciate the marks accusing him of not being an athlete that Peterson made last year. Thought that he should have worked out more. Anyway, it's working out okay right now and behind Payne on the carry for first down.
And you know, Rod, that's the game inside the game, and it happened again this afternoon too, but not obviously with Doug Peterson, who's not here anymore. He's in Edmonton, but with Alfred Payton. The BC Lions are warming up before the game, and the big offensive linemen are down near the end zone. Alfred Payton does a jog into the BC side of the field and is talking to him all the way around, and I saw him just as he was coming around the corner, and he says, yeah, it gets under their skin. I love it.
It works in hockey as well. One guy just during the warm-ups will skate into the other team's end. On the handoff. No, a fake handoff, and Allen keeping it, but taken down by Swift Birch for a loss. And flags down on the play as well.
Well, Allen's indicating that the flag was against Montreal, but Swift Birch didn't know there was a flag when he went up there and made a good open field tackle.
Rashawn Giddings calling the offside, second such penalty on this drive against Montreal.
It'll be interesting to see if Birch and they're going to leave Alfred Birch one-on-one on the outside, or excuse me, Swift Birch and Alfred Payton one-on-one on the outside with Damon Allen running to the outside. That's one that I like Allen's chances.
So it's a 1st and 5 for the Lions on the offside of the Alouettes. Allen looks for that shovel pass again, and yes, Juan Johnson has it.
What
a BC first down inside the 40, yeah.
A one-handed catch and some traffic. And Damon Allen had to wait for Juan Johnson to open up. Johnson's going to come right across the field here. Now watch as he moves to his left. He's going to have to make a one-handed catch right in traffic there. There's guys all around him. Ed Fulion was breathing down his neck. That's not easy.
They've used that shuffle pass a few times in this game. Of course, the one to Robert Drummond for a touchdown in the first quarter. That one to Juan Johnson, who's back out on the sideline again. Mission accomplished. The sticks move. 5:18 to go until halftime. And an 8-7 Alouette game. The reverse to Eddie Brown. And he wants to pass off it by the looks of things, but he's taken down. Huge loss. And it's Swift Birch who was there.
You know what? Swift Birch just made a huge play. Saved the Montreal defense. What the offense wanted to do here in BC is run the reverse to Eddie Brown, which they've run before, but this time throw in the new wrinkle, which is the throw off it. Eddie Brown wants to load up and throw back to guess who? Damon Allen. Damon Allen, after pitching that ball out, slipped out to the left side of the formation and was wide open on the sideline. Swift Birch didn't let Eddie Brown get it out of there.
So do you give him a sack for that?
Well, I think he was going to be a quarterback.
That's right. It was a loss of 16 and quite a big play because it's taken BC out of field goal range. Down a point. And down again is Allen. You call that a sack, no doubt about it. Jason Richards is there and Filion as well. The guys up front inside.
They got a little bit of a stunt going on up front, a little bit of a twist. It's not an all-out blitz. You're not going to blitz in that situation, but you get a bit of a twist from the front, too. A little bit of confusion for Jamie Terrace. He can't turn around and get there in time, and Jason Richards comes up with his 7th sack of the year. And talk about guys that are kind of unsung heroes in the lineup. Well, Jason Richards has been one of them, another real impressive player to this coaching staff in Montreal.
So the Lions moving backwards as Louis Pasaglia stands at his 34. And a bad punt to boot. As that one bounces off a Lions player, flags down. There'll be no yards against BC and a short return for the Alouettes. A punt of only 36 yards for Pasaglia. Mike Pringle, a product of a football program that no longer exists, Cal State Fullerton, and look at the company he has.
Wow.
Damon Allen, the second all-time in passing yards and the greatest rushing quarterback in CFL history, and the best in single-season rushing, Mike Pringle, and Alan Pitts, who just recently became the all-time receiving yardage leader. It's incredible. A school that folded up its program in 1992.
How would you like to have those three on the same team? You got a great quarterback who can run, you got a great runner, and you got the receiver to go to. Yikes.
And Alan Pitts, Damon Allen and Alan Pitts were on the same team back in 1984.
Wow.
And I was talking to Alan about this before, and I mentioned to him, you know, asking about that school, do they even have a program anymore? Because I couldn't find any information. He said, yeah, they folded up about 7 years ago, and back then they didn't even have a stadium when he played there. They had to play in another school's place. They produced some pretty good players, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
And that one is complete. Tyree Davis with the catch up near first down yard.
Well, arguably, Rod, three of the best in Canadian Football League history.
From Cal State Fullerton.
All from Cal State Fullerton. I mean, Mike Pringle, we talked about the comparison between him and George Reed, which is going to be made, and of course it was different eras, and Damon Allen will realistically eclipse Ron Lancaster's numbers, which no one ever thought possible. And of course Alan Pitts is already the all-time leading receiver.
So yeah, by the time it's all said and done, leading quarterback, leading receiver, leading running back. And
very easily happen, all from Cal State Fullerton. That's very impressive.
And the one thing Damon Allen said was, the only good thing about them not having a football program anymore is his passing records there are safe. But I'm sure actually he's quite disappointed to see his alma mater doesn't have football anymore. But Allen is the all-time passing leader there, and chasing down Ron Lancaster for overall in the CFL. It's a first down for Montreal. The sticks do move. They're across midfield again. With time winding down in the half, they have the 1-point lead, looking to add to it. Remember, the Alouettes were here before, just the previous drive, but the interception by Herman Smith snuffed it out. Calvillo to throw on first down. Pumps, has a man, Cahoon. He's got it. Inside the 15.
Great pump fake by Anthony Calvillo, and he had a veteran corner jumping up and biting on a curl pattern. Watch the pump fake from Calvillo. Here's the pump fake. That pulls Eric Carter up. You can't see that from that angle, but watch how open Ben Cahoon is and how far Eric Carter has to come to make the tackle. Ben Cahoon ran a curl and go. He ran down the field about 10 yards, turned around, the pump fake from Calvillo. That made Eric Carter bite, and then Cahoon was in behind him. It takes a lot to fool a veteran like Eric Carter.
Down to the 12. And Cahoon's third catch. He's had a big second quarter. And 3 minutes, roughly 3:05 to go on the clock here at McGill. As they have issued the 3-minute warning. Alouettes, they're knocking on the door once again with a 1-point lead on CFL Live. Back in Montreal, the Alouettes have the ball at the BC 12. They lead at 8-7. 3 minutes to go on the clock. The chance to hit pay dirt and take a bigger lead into that locker room at the half, with Calvillo calling out the signals. First down, Alouettes. On an option, Calvillo keeps and has a decent gain of about 5 yards, down to the 6. A rare sighting of the option, and rarer still with Calvillo running.
Well, yeah, usually the quarterback here, whether it's Calvillo or Tracy Ham, is going to get that ball to Pringle, and when you're running the option, you need to get some help from your slot backs, and Thomas Haskins goes in there and cuts off Paul Lacoste and gives Anthony Calvillo a little bit of a crease to pick up some yardage.
They mark it at the 7. On second down. Calvillo out of the shotgun. Wants to pass to his left end zone. Now, receiver got a hand on it, but that was all. Tyree Davis, the intended receiver, but it'll be third down.
It's an option for Tyree Davis, Rod, and what it is Tyree Davis has the option to curl out or to curl in. and they have to be on the same page. And you talk about guys being on the same page. Well, this is what we mean.
Offside. Montreal number 22. Decline. Third down.
Tyree Davis is going to go down. Now, does he curl this way or does he curl the opposite way? Now, if he gets it right and Anthony Calvillo's on the same page, they got a touchdown. But he stops. Calvillo thinks he's coming into the middle more, throws that ball in the gap. It's a half a yard difference, but it's the difference between 6 points or a 3-point opportunity.
And so the ball will be spotted by Cahoon at the 14 for Terry Baker. Missed one earlier that went for a single. That was from 52 yards. This chip shot, which should give Montreal a 4-point lead. Up and through. And indeed, the Alouettes are up by 4 now, 11-7, with 2:25 to go until halftime. They're honoring the team that won the '74 Grey Cup here in Montreal 25 years ago, and of course, the superstar, your ordinary superstar, Johnny Rogers, a big headliner during his 4 years in the Canadian Football League. And there, Sonny Wade throws him one on the wet field at Empire Stadium. The Alouettes went on to win that Grey Cup 20-7 over the Edmonton Eskimos. Great memories of Johnny Rogers, and as someone who grew up in Ottawa like I did, a thorn in our side. The Ottawa Rough Riders, a great rivalry they had back then, the Riders and the Alouettes.
That's great, and I think I love the look of these new unis here that they're wearing.
The new old, I guess. It's kind of a retro look with that added red in there for the Alouettes, the way they looked back then in the 70s.
I think it looks pretty good. There they are right there.
BC football from their 35 after the Alouette field goal to increase Montreal's lead to 11-7. And some problems before they can get the play off.
Yeah, they were a man short
Montreal
on defense. They wanted to make a substitution. Jason Richards coming on the game for Rasan Giddings. They had the wrong personnel on the field.
Safer to take the timeout, of course, especially at this point in the half.
Yeah, but in a close game, Rod, you don't want to waste it because you're not lined up properly.
Right.
You know, you get one per half, so Charlie Tapp will still have his timeout in the second half. This game stays close. That's when he'll need it.
Allen off to the right, complete. Alfred Jackson with it, but he is hauled down. And a nice tackle by Baron Miles on that play.
Well, yeah, and you got to be careful throwing that screen out to Baron Miles. I mean, Baron Miles has made some plays. Look how deep he is, and then watch how quickly he breaks up in the open field and brings down Alfred Jackson. Baron Miles has 3 touchdowns this year, 2 off interceptions, 1 off a fumble recovery. He's been a ball hawk and a big play guy for this defense in Montreal, and throwing that hit screen on him, you got to be careful.
That return after the fumble, he stripped a Ticat last week and then ran that back for the TD. He's been busy. Nice run here by Jimmy Cunningham as he takes it out of bounds across the 50. Allen hauled down roughly back in that BC backfield, a gain of 12 yards and a first down.
Due to the formations, this is the problem. You see Stephon Reed here, because of the formation that the BC Lions present, Stephon Reed is going to turn and see that he's got to run with Jimmy Cunningham. See, Stephon Reed, who's been playing great at the linebacker position, stopping the run, is not going to cover Jimmy Cunningham in the open field, and that's just by alignment from the BC Lion offense.
And an injured player for the Alouettes is Swift Birch, who was trying to wrap up Damon Allen. Already has a sack of Allen, of course, in this game.
What a model of consistency when you talk about a guy from, you talk about Swift Birch. Last year, 9 sacks. This year, he's got 5 on the season. 97, he had 7 sacks. Then you go back to Ottawa days in 96, 6 sacks. I mean, every year he is up around the 8-9 sack area, and just year in, year out, gives you that consistent performance every single play. He's working on Mo Elowanibi, and his own guy, I believe it was Alfred Payton, comes across and hits the inside of that knee. So hopefully Swift Birch will be okay. They're just
And he really has been a nice compliment to Peyton. I suppose it's the best end that he has played with, the best other end on a team for sure.
Well, when you consider, Alfred Payton over there, he's averaging probably about 12, 13 sacks a year. I mean, he's up in the double figures, and then you throw in the 8 average from Swift Birch on the other side. That's pretty good bookends.
Swift Birch is still down on the field. 1:54, just under 2 minutes until halftime here on CFL Live. Slowly, Swift Birch makes his way off to the Alouette sideline. They're going down the play where he tried to take down Damon Allen.
Steve Charbonneau will come in the game to replace Swift Birch, at least for the 3 plays.
So finally play resumes, and it's Robert Drummond takes the inside handoff and gets across midfield on the first down.
See, this is a problem for the Montreal defense, not because Steve Charbonneau can't play, but because he's playing out of position. See Robert Drummond limping off, but Charbonneau is going to be to the right of your screen. Big Dan Payne's going to pull to this side and kick him out. This is a position that Steve Charbonneau is really not used to playing. You see how he turns number 98 out to the outside and gives a little crease for Robert Drummond. Charbonneau is an inside guy. A good football player, but from the inside, and he's not used to taking things on from that same shoulder on the outside. He's got to play for Swift Birch now.
Out of the shotgun, Allen takes off. A quarterback draw that works for another first down. BC inside the 45 down to about the 42, a gain of 12.
You see, when your linebackers are in coverage, your defensive linemen have to control their rush lanes, because watch Stephon Reed back here. Look how he's looking for receivers. See, he's looking for receivers and then realizes that Damon Allen has taken off. He's got that big Allen. When your linebackers are looking up receivers like Stephon Reed is, your defensive line have to control the pass rush lane.
BC driving late in the half. A short gain on first down that time for Juan Johnson. Gets it to about the 40 of Montreal. 1:08 on the clock. What a great year he had last year. Over 900 yards rushing, rookie of the year in the Canadian Football League, and quite a story when they were depending so heavily initially on Robert Drummond, and for reasons that were certainly physical with injuries and also personal things, Juan Johnson filled in for quite a while, and now they have 2 outstanding backs once again.
I think it was a combination of both having Drummond and Johnson that was a big part of their 6 in a row to end the season last year.
Allen passing in second and long, complete. Eddie Brown, first down at the 30. The drive continues late in this half, under a minute to go.
Dwight Henry again. We talked about the secondary playing inside position on these fast receivers in BC, and again it's Damon Allen looking to the outside to the sideline, and they haven't had success with it. Their timing hasn't been perfect, but looks like it's starting to get there now, and Joe Palpal couldn't be happier.
Clock at 45 seconds. The handoff to Juan Johnson. Has some room. A good gain, Johnson. Down to the Montreal 23. So it'll be second and short.
Well, again, you're going to attack the side that Swift Birch used to play, and Steve Charbonneau is playing out of position, and that's where they're going when they're running the football right now. And again, it's not a slight on Steve Charbonneau.
Low snap in the shotgun, and Allen keeps it and is taken down. Lost yardage. Alfred Payton is in there as he celebrates once again.
Sorry, Rob, but this is the problem with Jamie. Jamie Terrace told me that his concern is shotgun snaps. When he had to move into the center for Hendrickson when he was injured early in the year, he said, I'm not too worried about playing center and blocking from that spot. What I'm worried about is shotgun snaps, because you got to snap it and then get your head up and find your guy. And that time it was low, and Alfred Payton made him pay.
Second sack of the day for Payton, who actually has his total up to 14. And he had been second to Joe Montford coming in to week 11 in the CFL in the sacks. Louis Pasaglia is good. And so, once again, the Lions get it closed to within a single point with just a few seconds left on the scoreboard until they head off to the locker room. So Charlie Taft doesn't see the half end exactly the way he'd like, although there's probably a chance for a play here. But has to be happier overall, the way this has gone compared to what was 2.5 weeks ago. I think we got a couple of candidates here, by the way, for Coach of the Year so far.
Well, you know, everyone doesn't want to give Greg Mons credit. I mean, 14 of his last 16 regular season games have been W's. I mean, sooner or later, people have got to start saying that Greg Mons is a darn good head football coach. You know, and one season doesn't make you the best ever, but it does. You know, when you win as much as he's won, you got to start giving him credit for it at some point.
Years of coaching experience as an assistant in U.S. college ball and in the National Football League. Close friend of John Makovich's, former coach in Kansas City. And of course, Bum Phillips at Oklahoma State. He was an assistant to him. And Phillips later went on to Houston and New Orleans.
Well, and you know what I think has been most impressive with Greg Mons is that he understands his limitations in the X and O's department, and he leaves that to his offensive coordinators, Don Lindsay and Joe Powell. And he motivates, and he gets his team ready to play.
And his team is down by just a point now as they head to the locker room. It is Montreal 11, the BC Lions 10, as we head back to CFL Live Control.
You're watching the CFL Live, and we're at the half. Brought to you by Canadian Airlines, a member of One World.
Well, you put the two best teams in the league together, and yes, you get a one-point game. Kind of what we expected. You know, Matt last quarter compared this to the title fight last night, but these guys aren't welterweights. It's the heavyweights that are really dominating this one. The big guys up front on defense, Matt.
Yeah, they are. We saw Swift Birch in the first quarter get the team kick-started with a big play. And then we see Tracy Gravely doing a great job on the second quarter kick-starting the team. It's a simple process of staying at home by Tracy Gravely. He does a wonderful job of staying at home right here. He gets upfield, and he's got to stay right here. Naturally, he would want to pursue down the line of scrimmage and go to the football. But he has got all of this field right there in order to contend with. BC's getting a little tricky here, a little mixing it up, trying to keep him off balance, but Tracy Grab does a great job allowing Swift Birch to come in there and put down the ball carrier. That's a super job by the Montreal defense, understanding that their teammates got to do their job, and I got to do my job. Tracy Gravely did that there. He's enabled his team, Chris, to get back in the football game here.
And you know what, Matt? I don't think the tricky stuff works with the BC Lions. They have to continue to be creative in their play calling. The one consistency they've had is they're doing that shovel pass where the quarterback comes back, pitches it to the running back right in front of that offensive line. They have to keep running that play because what that does is it limits the effectiveness of Alfred Payton and Swift Birch. You'll see that play develop more and more in the later on because they have to control that line of scrimmage. They doesn't have a lot of yards on those plays, but it just keeps everybody honest. They have to continue to do it, James.
Yeah, that Lions potent offense, except for that last field goal, hadn't scored in 23 minutes, which is like an eternity for them. Thomas Haskins, Mr. Versatile for Montreal, fills in for Pringle, fills in for Climby, fills the end zone. His team leads it by 1. Here's what's happened so far this weekend. Edmonton blew a close game open with 28 points in the third quarter, then had to hang on to beat Saskatchewan. Hamilton, 6 unanswered touchdowns. In the second half, they blow out Winnipeg, and the Argos blow a late lead against Calgary. What happened to them, Chris?
James, they self-destructed. The Toronto Argonauts had an opportunity to win this game, but with 77 seconds to go, they decided to play man coverage instead of zone. When you are in man coverage, there's an opportunity for a big play. When you are in zone, the offense kind of has to nickel and dime its way down the field. Consequently, you don't have time left to make a big play. I really thought the Toronto Argonauts played an exceptional game. Calgary capitalized on that coverage, but if this team's going to advance, they have to make better decisions at the tail end of the half, and most importantly, the tail end of a football game, because I'll tell you what, at 5-6, they're really good. Now, I would not want to play the Toronto Argonauts next week, James.
All right, now Hamilton's win, the most lopsided in club history, an absolute embarrassment for the Bombers. I spoke with a very angry Dave Ritchie after the game.
It almost looked like the guys quit a bit.
Well, if I can find out who they are, or you could tell me who they are, they would be out of this boat so fast, their heads would spin. And that's what I'm trying to find right now, because it's there's a disease somewhere.
Matt, he seems to be just at wit's end.
He really does, James. And what it comes down to is somebody in that locker room needs to step up, a veteran ball player, and take control of this right now and squash it. Because if the head coach is talking about a disease in the locker room and he's having troubles finding it, they need to address that issue right away. And if they can do that, they're going to rebound, and they're a fine football team because they have a lot of talent. They're just in disarray right now. But on the other side of the ball, the Hamilton Tiger Cats rebounded from their own embarrassment last week and had a super football game. Danny McManus had a hot hand. He was distributing the ball very well. LaPointe Williams running the football like there's no tomorrow. Defense pressuring the quarterback. Rob Hitchcock came up with another big game. Credit Ronnie Lancaster for getting his football team ready to play.
All right, that is the past. Let us now look ahead to the immediate future in the CFL as we check out next week's games. Ahead, we have two of them for you. Adidas Friday Night Football, the Rough Riders and the Bombers. We also have the Stamps and Lions on Saturday night. In between, CBC has the Alouettes and the Ticats, and then Sunday, it's the Argos and the Eskimos, 3:30 Eastern, the start time on that one. If you want to go see any one of those games, here are the ticket numbers for your favorite team. Don't forget, when we're done, it's golf, the BC Open, which, by the way, is nowhere near BC. It's named after the comic strip. Mike Weir, 5 shots off the lead starting the 4th round. He's tied for 4th place. Our halftime statistics, BC dominating time of possession. The Owls, surprisingly, with the edge in the passing game. Our Michael Whalen spoke with Owls head coach Charlie Taft.
Coach Taft, not much of a margin, 1 point, but it's a lot better than where you were at 2 weeks ago.
Well, we're playing better. We're still having some problems with Cunningham. He caught a couple of short balls underneath and turned them down the sideline. And still, Damon Allen breaks out every now and then and makes plays when we got them off schedule. So, you know, they're good players, and good players make plays. We just got to do a little better job containing the second half, and then we got to get some drives going.
They're using that shovel pass very effectively. Going to make some adjustments about that?
Well, we're just going to talk about it. You know, we probably need to attack the quarterback and try and make him make a decision sooner. We're stringing it out, but he's got too long to make a decision.
Okay, Charlie, good luck in the second half. Thank you for stopping by.
All right, thank you.
All right, time to play Canada's favorite game show. Who wants to be a CFL coach? Our contestants are Matt and Chris. Matt, what would you do if you were the coach of the Lions second half?
I'd run the football, run the football. That'll open up Damon Allen even more. They have a healthy respect for those defensive ends. We can see that, Chris. You talked about it, how they're helping themselves by attacking them with the shovel pass. I think the run can help them out in the second half as well.
Yeah, Matty, the run always helps a football team. And I think for BC, more than anything else, if Montreal can keep Damon Allen in the pocket, that's the key for the Alouettes, because Damon Allen makes his big plays out of the pocket, improvising. He's not, in my estimation, the best as a drop-back quarterback, but as an outside quarterback on the perimeter, he's tough to handle, James.
Congratulations. You've both made it to the bonus round. You'll get to stick around for the second half of the show with me. 11-10 the score at the break. The Owls leading the Lions. A battle for first place in the CFL. Bang the drum and slowly. Lions need to do that in the second.
A much closer game this time. Montreal leading by 1. Let's head down to the sidelines. Michael Whalen and Greg Mons.
Coach Mons, it looks like this is a lot tighter game than what happened the last 2 times these teams met.
Well, we figured it was going to be tight. You know, they're a very good football team. I think both teams match up well, and it's going to be a war, and we anticipated that, and we're coming into their place. We beat them the first game, so we just have to eliminate some mistakes in coverage on our defense and execute a little bit better. And, you know, I think it's going to be a good 30 minutes and a good football game.
Good luck to you then.
Thank you.
All right, Brett Anderson has the ball teed up to get this second part of the war underway.
Mentioned coverage, and Ben Cahoon is doing a nice job against Eric Carter. We'll watch that matchup.
Off the kickoff by Anderson. Haskins coming in for it and takes it at his 24. Takes a hit, but stays up and gets up to around the 39 on the return. Could these two teams have a third war scheduled sometime in November at BC Place? That's the question that remains to be answered.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders, who had a nice come-from-behind win yesterday versus the Toronto Argonauts. We'll have something to say about that before it's over, I'm sure. And you can't rule out Toronto or Hamilton in the East, but...
Anthony Calvillo back on. Not a bad first half. Of course, filling in once again for Tracy Ham. And who knows how long Ham will be out. He's got a recurring knee problem. It's flared up again. And he's missed a couple of starts, so a valuable backup to have in there. Starting here for Montreal. Calvillo on the run here, though. And despite not having Ham's mobility, a pretty good run by AC as he gets up near first down yardage to the 49 of the Alouettes.
Well, I think when you look at Anthony Calvillo's throwing the football in the first half, the nice thing is he's got balance. 4 to the left side, 4 down the middle. He hasn't had as much success there, but 4 to the right side. So not only is he spreading it around and keeping the defense honest, but he keeps his receivers happy.
Had his best game of the year last week when he was 20 for 27, no interceptions, and 3 touchdown passes in a big win over his former team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Short yardage he keeps, so give the drive so far to Anthony Calvillo. He rushes for 9.5 and then rushes for another couple of feet to move the sticks up at the Alouette 50. Charlie Taff had said, though, and he made it quite clear, that when Tracy Ham is ready to play again, regardless, Tracy Ham is his starting quarterback.
Yeah, well, there's no question. Yeah, Tracy Ham is going to be the guy that's going to take him down the stretch and into the playoffs. They just want to make sure that he's healthy 100%. He had his knee drained again at the beginning of this week, and it swole up again on Wednesday. So they're just being cautious with it.
On the toss to Mike Pringle. Tries to pull his way across the 50, but very short yardage. A yard, maybe 2. With a flag down. Right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, so far, for the most part, in the first half, the Lions have done a pretty good job against Mike Pringle. But that doesn't mean...
BC number 99, repeat first down.
Linebacker Keith Franklin called the outside.
That certainly doesn't mean they've shut him down, because there's a lot of football to be played. And as long as the clock has still got a couple of ticks on it, Mike Pringle's going to be running hard.
That's his trademark, isn't it? Fourth quarter, wears defenses down, and just when you think he might be out of gas, he busts another one. He's done that so many times. But they take the penalty that time, and it's 1st and 5. And Pringle busts here for a first down. Good burst of speed up across the Lion 50.
Well, you know, it's great this game, Rod. You get feature 2 premier running backs in Mike Pringle and Robert Drummond. And think back to 1995 when these two were teammates in Baltimore. And see, Pringle was getting the bulk of the work, of course, for 1,700 yards. Robert Drummond was more of the blocking back at that time, and really didn't have a problem with it because they won the Grey Cup that year.
And that's the thing. And you talk about Juan Johnson coming in this time. Drummond is said to feel the same way. Passing, airing it out deep, wide open. Drops the ball in the end zone. It's caught, it's fumbled, it's BC's ball. Thomas Haskins had it. Now Raphael Robinson does and gets it out of the end zone. What a turn of events there. What could have been a touchdown for the Alouettes after a 44-yard catch sees Thomas Haskins cough it up, and BC unscathed has the football now.
Outstanding throw by Anthony Calvillo down the seam. Thomas Haskins just forgot to protect the football at the end of the play. Look at him go down and outrun the coverage of Raphael Robinson. Eric Carter's too far over. He's more worried about Ben Cahoon now, and it's Carter who strips that football out of there. No question, that's a fumble. The ball hits the ground and is bouncing around. Raphael Robinson picks it up and takes it out of the end zone. That's what you teach defensive backs. If you can't get there and knock the ball down, there's a progression, 3 in a row. Interception first, knockdown second. If they catch it, strip them. Eric Carter does that.
Talk about a turning point. That could certainly be one. On the handoff to Drummond, and not much doing on the left side. Short gain once again.
Well, it really is a turning point in a lot of ways, because not only does it take that touchdown off the board, Thomas Haskins was likely going in the end zone, but Charlie Taft knows it's an emotional swing. That was a chance for them to come away with some points, and you don't get many opportunities with a guy wide open down the seam like that.
It's a reprieve for BC, but at the same time, are you not quite concerned, if you're Don Lindsay, that something like that did happen?
Yeah, you're going to get that straightened out in the sideline. You go talk to Raphael Robinson, Eric Carter, make sure they are deep enough and respect the speed of Thomas Haskins.
2nd and 9. Allen out of the shotgun. On the move. Throwing. No good. Or, excuse me, it is caught by Eddie Brown.
Yeah, he came way back, Rod, to catch that one, and that's the veteran in Eddie Brown, because rookie receivers won't often do this, where the ball is getting thrown down, Now, Eddie Brown's the outside. Now, he's going to work way down the field and then try and get open for his quarterback who's scrambling. Eddie Brown comes down into the inside. Now, he sees his quarterback in trouble, and he starts fighting back towards the line. Now, watch this. Now, this is the key. Come back to the football in front of Lester Smith and come up with that catch. That's a veteran.
And a big play, a gain of 32 up to the 45 BC. Lions only down by 1 early in the second half. Allen being chased around again. They nearly have him. He throws it away, and the closest man to it was Dwight Henry, who nearly had an interception. Tracy Gravely had some great pressure on Allen there.
Well, Montreal is deciding that they're going to have to get some pressure on Damon Allen if they want success, and they're going to have to do it with a little bit blitzing from the linebacking core. And it's Gravely coming, as well as Stephon Reed on the other side. Gravely's the guy who's going to flush Damon, make him throw that one away. But you're right, he almost got caught and didn't throw it far enough.
So it's 2nd and 10. Lions in their 45. Allen standing in shotgun again, quite obviously throwing the football again. Looking right over the middle. First down yardage, and it is complete. Rod Harris with his first catch of the day. He had a huge game the last time these two teams met back at BC Place 2.5 weeks ago.
Right now, I also noticed that Steve Charbonneau is still in the game for Swift Birch. And the report we get from Michael Whalen is that Swift Birch has a bruised knee and is gone for the rest of this game. So we'll see if the BC Lions try and attack that side of the field.
Another first down for the Lions. They swing it out to Drummond. And once again, Robert Drummond is held in check. No gain.
Well, you know, that's a great play in the open field by Tracy Gravely, because Steve Harden was pulling out there, and Harden had to line him up and try and put the block on Gravely. But Gravely decides, rather than take it on, I'm outweighed by Steve Harden by about 60 pounds. I'll run around him. And he ran around him and made the play.
A loss of about a foot. On 2nd and long now for Allen. The Lions. Been a good drive. Big Steve Harden getting into position. In the pits. Allen out of the shotgun. And over the middle again. This time Harris tied up a little bit. Baron Miles with some coverage there, and it'll be 3rd down. Well, Rod Harris didn't get it that time, but this is what he did get back in September the 2nd. And BC's win. A couple of touchdowns, including this one, Glenn.
Yeah, this was a little bit lucky, but he'll take it. Bounced off the fingertips of Jimmy the Jet, and he's in the end zone. He also had one more conventional style, a nice rollout by Damon Allen, and found him on the corner in behind Baron Miles. And I mentioned that Montreal played a lot of man-to-man defense, and Rod Harris had a bit of a game against Miles. This time they're playing more zone.
Louis Pasaglia is hit. There's a flag down. The punt was nearly blocked. Mark Washington is the one that made contact with Pasaglia, who is still down and hurt.
He got hit hard, and it was the down plant leg that got hit.
Mark Washington was coming full bore to block it. He nearly did, and of course the consequence is you go right into the kicker.
Well, and you got to touch the football. If you touch the football, you can hit the kicker. If you don't, it's the penalty, and that's why the flag's on the ground. Washington didn't touch the football according to the officials, and he did hit Louis Pasaglia. Here he comes from the left of your screen. See the plant foot? The one that was down is the one that got hit.
BC number 49, repeat 3rd down.
The big loss for the Lions is going to be if Louis Pasaglia can't continue, because penalties evened out there. The roughing the kicker is evened out by a penalty by the BC Lions. Jason Kralls, who got an unnecessary roughness call, so it'll be 3rd down again, 10 yards to go. But of more concern for the Lions is the health of Louis Pasaglia.
45 years of age, his 24th season, a remarkable career. As he slowly does get off, the backup kicker is Brett Anderson, who's also a reserve slot back. Anderson handles the kickoffs already, and he would go in if Pasaglia can't go. But amazing, you know, they honor a team today that won the Grey Cup in 1974. Oh, so long ago, 25 years. Louis Pasaglia was 2 years later in his first year in the CFL, and he's still going. I mean, there must be guys.
He probably played against guys that were in that game.
Johnny Rogers, for one, his last year in '76. So that would have been Pasagli's first. As Glenn mentioned, penalties on both sides. Well, as Damon Allen is back in this game.
Well, are they going to?
It said they give BC a first down, which is a little confusing because they're.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, let me straighten this out. It's an automatic first down on the roughing the kicker. The yardage evens out,
right?
But it's an automatic first.
There were penalties. There were penalties to each team, and there'll be a penalty there. Alfred Payton is in that Alouette backfield before the ball is snapped.
Well, Alfred Payton. Sorry, right. Alfred Payton realized he was outside and just continued on with it.
It looked like he was in motion.
Offside. Montreal number 57.
Still first down.
Looked like he was a slot back in motion or something.
Well, he figured, why not? You know, and it's not a bad move, really. You're that far offside. If the play continues and they get the free play, do your teammates, are they ready? Are they half not ready? You know, that what's going to happen? It could be a big play. So might as well continue on, get the 5-yard loss, and line up again.
1st and 5 now for BC. Stuffed. Ed Fillion meets Robert Drummond, takes him down. No gain.
Well, you know, we can always sit up here and talk about how the coaches love Ed Fillion and love a different player, and they think he's doing well. And then you say, well, you know, okay, you can say it all you want, but will the guy come up and make a play? Well, watch this play. They love Ed Fillion here, and this is why. Fights off a bit of a double team, hits the seam, and hits Drummond in the backfield.
The Lions have had the football for a good chunk of this third quarter. We're halfway through it. 2nd and 5. A drive kept going by penalties, among other things, and this, a catch and another first down. Rod Harris with another reception, and the sticks will move for the Lions again.
Well, Rod Harris will be a guy that Damon Allen looks for because of a lot of the zone defense. And you see these guys drop off in the secondary. Watch how they're going to drop. There's not man-to-man. See how they're dropping, turning their back to Rod Harris? When he sees that, he can just turn up. See, Tracy Gravely turned his back to him. He knows that zone defense. He turns around immediately and gives his quarterback a target.
5 minutes and 16 seconds. That's the length of this drive so far, and it continues on 1st down. Complete. Again, it's Eddie Brown. And looks like he has another Lions first down inside the Alouettes 30.
This is just a quick hitch pass to the outside. He's just going to take up, turn around, and stop right there and come up with the hitch pass. And it's designed to just kind of change the pace for the defense. See Dwight Henry way back in that zone. He is responsible for deep coverage there. He can't come up on Eddie Brown. It'll be someone in behind him that's wide open. They got to give the Lions that one and come up and make a tackle.
The 13th play of this drive. And Robert Drummond takes it left side. And picks up about another 5 yards for BC.
It's the kind of drive that wears you down. And keep in mind, with Swift Birch out of the lineup, Steve Charbonneau starts and plays up there now. They lose their rotation of defensive linemen. What they like to do in Montreal is bring Charbonneau in and give Jason Richards, Fillion, Birch, and even Payton at times a rest. They can't do that. And a long drive like this starts to wear on that D-line.
That D-line really has to dig in now. Must be getting fatigued. A drive over 6 minutes long now. Allen passing again. It's short. Intended for Harris. Falls incomplete. And this is where the drive ends. As they'll come on and attempt a field goal. Now remember, Louis Pasaglia was hurt. I see Brett Anderson coming on the field now.
Well, Mark Washington did a nice job in coverage on Rod Harris there, Rod, because he jammed. And watch him use his hands. See, good position. Keep your feet and use your hands. Rod Harris can't shake him long enough to give itself a target for Damon Allen. And pretty good coverage by Mark Washington. Just distracts him enough with his hands in the chest area so that Rod Harris can't get open.
Well, Brett Anderson is in. He'd be the backup kicker, but he's in his normal role on that special team. Louis Pasaglia just injured before, tries it from 32. Seems okay, but it's wide right. Winston October will just go down on a knee and give up the point to tie up this game. The good news, Pasaglia is back for BC, but the bad, it's not a field goal. 11-11, 5:08 to go in the
CFL Live on TSN is brought to you in part by Gatorade. Is it in you?
After a drive of 7 minutes and 8 seconds, the Lions only get a point to show for it after Passaglia misses this 32-yarder, Glenn.
Louis Passaglia went off. He got hit on the plant foot. Now watch the plant foot. You see how it's ahead of the football? The plant foot's got to be a little bit further back for the kicker to make it hit cleanly. Louis Passaglia may be favoring that plant foot just a little bit.
He was really drilled by Mark Washington a few moments earlier when he tried to punt. Mike Pringle, good carry, first down Montreal, across the 45 of the Alouettes.
And right after Louis Passaglia hit that field goal, he went over to Greg Mons, and I could tell Mons was asking him, is your plant foot okay? Are you going to be all right, or should we put Brett Anderson in the game? And it looked to me like Passaglia shook his head and said, I'll be fine. In a close game like this, the kickers become that much more important.
11-11. So much lower scoring than that one out in BC Place earlier this month. He actually didn't have the first down, so Calvillo keeps it, and this time they do. Move the sticks across the 45 now.
But Charlie Tapp, more than anything, wants his offense to stay on the football field for a sustained drive. I mean, that long drive by the Lions over 7 minutes is wearing down his defense, and he would love them to get a rest on the bench if this offense can get a couple first downs together.
Getting closer in the first down department, still favoring BC, especially after that huge drive they had. And up to Pringle again, looking for some room, but not finding any. Just finding a wall of white.
Yeah,
David Benefield in there.
That's how you tackle Mike Pringle. Not one-on-one. Because that rarely happens. You gang tackle Mike Pringle. You say, if we're going to get this guy down, we better put a team meeting, and we better call it right at 27. And there's like 3 Lions there to bring him down. And you get 3 over, you got a chance. But you really need 3-to-1 odds against Pringle.
You take the legs, I'll take the midsection. You take him up high.
Exactly. Even then, he sometimes finds a way, but it's better as your odds.
Calvillo to pass on second and long, and he was being hit as he got rid of the ball. A flag down right in that Alouette backfield. David Benefield was there. That was intended for Thomas Haskins, but not close. Holding called against Montreal.
Well, they'll decline that and make the Alouettes punt the football, but you know, that was another one that Charlie Tapp had an opportunity with a matchup that he would love to see, and Thomas Haskins running on Antonio Armstrong, the linebacker.
Number 59, decline, third down.
Pierre Bercheval, the veteran, back in Montreal for his second year after some time in Edmonton and in Toronto as well. Terry Baker.
That's a decent average.
Not bad at all. Second only to Noel Prefontaine. It was over 47 his average coming in. That'll help. And only his third punt of the day from his 32. Not as good as the other 2, but it gets a bit of a roll. Jimmy the Jet Cunningham at his 20. The Jet turns inside and is grounded there after a return of only 3 yards. A 44-yard punt for Baker. 11-11 in the third. Montreal. In BC, you may want to check out a football game coming up September the 25th. Give them a call if you want a ticket against the Calgary Stampeders. It'll be their 3rd meeting of the year. BC's won both of them. Whether the Lions win or lose, it'll be a meeting for first place, or at least Calgary looking for a chance to tie it. As it stands, Calgary could be in a tie with the Lions at the end of this game if BC doesn't win. Speaking of losing, David Allen loses the football. It's kicked into the end zone. Alfred Payton after it. Touchdown, Alouettes.
Well, you can pin this one right on number 9, Damon Allen, because he was all by himself, and I believe the ball might have hit his leg when he went on the quarterback draw. Design play. It does hit the right side of his knee, bounces to the ground, and then it is kicked in the end zone, which of course is legal as long as it doesn't go out of bounds, and it doesn't. It goes into the end zone. Alfred Payton picks up the touchdown.
And if the Alouette defense was tired before after that drive, I'm sure they've been revitalized.
And that is a way to get your emotions flowing again.
And emotions going another way for a coach who sees it happen against his team as Greg Mons looks on. Terry Baker to put the icing on the cake on that major anyway. And the Alouettes, thanks to Alfred Payton, in front by 7 again on CFL Live. Alfred Payton with the touchdown, recovering the fumble 24 yards in. He picked it up in the end zone. Here it is.
Steve Charbonneau there, Alfred Payton here. Now watch the play develop. Steve Charbonneau is going to come around underneath. He sees Damon Allen running. He's the guy who's going to do the impersonation of Ronaldo here. Go for the net. He punches it with the toe into the net, and then it's go for Alfred Payton.
You missed your calling. Yeah, big one. You know, Alfred Payton, it's been a rough week. Last week got in a fight with Dave Hack of the Tiger Cats. He and Sept ended up getting kicked out of the game, and Payton ended up going over near the Alouette, or excuse me, near the Tiger Cat dressing room. He was spotted there by Rob Hitchcock. It was reported to the league, and it's still under review right now. I believe Ed Chalupka is still considering what sort of a punitive matter to...
Well, it's tough for the league because there's no rule in the rule book that deals with spies. So
I don't think he wanted a spy. I think he wanted a piece of Dave Hack.
Yeah, well, that's what he wanted, but they'll figure that out.
Anyway, so Payton, he does face probably not a suspension, but a possible fine for that. But, you know, when asked about it, Charlie Taft said he has been the model citizen all year. And he flipped a switch on that certain occasion.
You know, he does things like, but he is a good football player, and
is he ever?
But he likes to put a show on, and that's really what he's doing. He puts on a bit of a show, like I talked about at the warm-up when he walked around and he was talking to the offensive lineman, and he'll talk. The motor's running from the start of the game to the end, talking to his teammates. Then he'll go over there and talk to the opponent. I mean, it's really harmless in a lot of ways, but Alfred Payton thinks that in some ways it might get under his opponent's skin, and if you can do that and take him out of his game a little bit, maybe you get an in.
He's been like that since day one, joining the Bombers. Great rookie season then. I believe he had 18 sacks or 19 sacks that year. Been a great player in the CFL. He's had a great play. Here's one. Don Blair in the receiving end from Damon Allen for a first down BC. Lions suddenly down by 7, but they're in Alouette territory.
You know that the challenge for Corey Mantica will be to keep Alfred Payton out. We talk about how great of a football player he is, but good feet and hands by Corey Mantica, keeping him up to the outside. That's not easy. He's got great speed to the outside, but Mantica uses his feet, gets his hands inside on the shoulder pads, and keeps Alfred Payton from his quarterback so Damon Allen can deliver that strike to Don Blair.
That was an 18-yarder to Blair and a first down. Ball at the Montreal 51. Allen working a lot out of that shotgun. Throwing again, wide open, Eddie Brown, another BC first down. And quickly the Lions are answering back after falling behind by a touchdown late here in quarter time.
Well, it really is just a matter of patience because you're going to see again zone defense. You see how Irv Smith's going to let Eddie Brown get open in the middle because he's got responsibilities to the outside. He's got to hope that a teammate will come across and pick this pass off from the inside out. And Damon Allen looked like he got his hand hit there at the end of that play by Jason Richards.
16 seconds on the clock. Might be the last play of the quarter. Allen to be passing again. And that time it just skips off the carpet. Eddie Brown was the closest one to it.
Well, you saw him shaking his hand and just wonder if it affected that throw because it was his passing hand that he was holding the previous play, and then Eddie Brown was wide open there on the sideline and he missed him by about 6 yards. You wonder if that hand may be a little sore at this point. We'll find out now in 2nd and 10.
And the last play of the third quarter. Three to the left, 2 to the right. Allen over the middle, has a man. Oh, just overthrows Rod Harris. Excuse me, Jimmy Cunningham, who goes over to complain about it, but that was in the end zone. A little bit less on it and might have had a BC touchdown. And that is how We head to three-quarter time. The Alouettes get a touchdown and take the lead 18-11 as we head back to our control studio.
You're watching the CFL Live, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by 1-800-HI-IT'S-ME. It's the cheapest way to call. Collect.
Well, I think it's safe to say Damon Allen is probably having the best season of his career. Number one reason, probably, he's avoided the little mistakes. He's been playing error-free football. Really bad break there on the fumble because it comes at a bad time, Chris.
Well, it may turn out to be the key play of the game. Really, Damon Allen in this situation has time with the football. It's a quarterback draw. He has a nice double team between Payne and Terrace at the point of attack. But as his arm goes down, the football hits his leg. That's a fumble. Damon Allen, that's all on him as the quarterback of the BC Lions. Those type of situations can completely change games. Defensive touchdown by the Montreal Alouettes. That's what they've been doing all season long, Matt.
You know who else has changed this game is Jason Richards and Ed Fillion in the middle for Montreal. They have completely changed BC's game plan and ability to run the football in the middle of the football field. This is why you've got a quarterback draw on Damon Allen. What he's doing there, they've got an empty backfield, and that's when they can attack the middle. Otherwise, if they have a back end, they got to attack the perimeter. Folks, Ed Fillion, Jason Richards is completely stopping the BC running game, keeping Montreal on top of this football game.
And that touchdown especially important coming at the end of the third quarter because the Owls, a much better fourth quarter football team when they are ahead because of one single word, Pringle. We'll see if they can hold the lead as we send you back to Montreal for the fourth quarter.
The next home game for the BC Lions next week against the Calgary Stampeders, the two best of the West. If you need a ticket, call one of those numbers there. Check out the team that right now is the best record in the Canadian Football League. There's Damon Allen.
Well, here's
like he hurt his hand, Glenn.
Yeah, here's the play that he hurt his hand on, and watch after this play. It was Jason Richards that hits him. Just as he throws the football, he follows through, and you see Richards hit his hand there, and then he grabs onto it, takes a look, makes sure it's okay. He's trying to shake it off. He threw one bad pass right after that to Eddie Brown, and then overthrew Jimmy the Jet. But he did throw that ball to the Jet quite a long distance, so it doesn't look like it's affecting how far he can throw it. It may be just affecting a little bit how accurately he can throw it.
Louis Pasaglia missed from 32 on his last attempt shortly after he'd been hurt. This from 45 out. And it goes wide to the left. Winston October brings it out. It's taken down at the 12. So Pasaglia, albeit that one a much tougher one compared to the 32-yarder before, has missed 2 straight field goals. And BC gets nothing this time. A look at the third quarter stats. Brought to you by Castrol GTX. Drive hard. 185 yards passing for the Alouettes. And look at the time of possession for BC.
There's Alfred Payton, the difference right now on the scoreboard. That touchdown on the fumble recovery after he was kicked by Steve Charbonneau. And you're going to see that rushing yard total go up for both teams a little bit, especially for Montreal when you have a little bit of a lead. And you got Mike Pringle. That's when you want to run it. And it'll also help you balance out the time of possession category.
2 of the 3 best teams in the CFL defending against the run. Anthony Calvillo hands off. Speaking of run, good rush defense again. They've done a pretty good job against Mike Pringle today overall.
Well, they have, and you know one guy that's really stood out has been Herman Smith. He's played very well up there for the BC defensive front four. And another guy that doesn't often get talked about, but who's come in relief and done a nice job, has been Noah Cantor out of St. Mary's. And Cantor usually goes in on the rotation, but Noah Cantor has come in and played pretty well when he has, and he's got to play right in the middle of that offensive line at the nose position, so you know he's fighting off double teams from in there a lot.
Knocked a pass down that was intercepted by Herman Smith earlier. Calvillo steps out of the pocket, dumps it off to Pringle. Looking to build up some steam, Mike Pringle. First down, Montreal, up over the 25.
You know, and this is why Mike Pringle is so good, because he's not just one-dimensional. He's not just a power back. Mike Pringle can make you miss in the open field, too. He gets out there, catches the football. Little check off for Anthony Calvillo because he's being pressured. But watch the move in the open field on Antonio Armstrong. See that little cutback? That's good feet. He's not just a power back. He can make you miss as well.
Alouettes up by a touchdown in the fourth quarter in Montreal. Calvillo under pressure again, somehow gets it away, looking for Haskins. Comes back to the ball for a nice catch and another big Alouette first down.
Rod, Pierre Bergevin makes the play. I mean, without Pierre Bergevin, this is gone. This play is over at the start of it because David Benefield comes off the edge. Watch Bergevin right across here, cut off David Benefield as he's coming across. He cuts him off right there. That gives Calvillo a chance to buy some time, go down the field, and then at the other end, Thomas Haskins wins the fight for the football on Bo Lewis.
A 39-yard gain.
And Anthony Calvillo goes in the huddle right there, and he goes to Pierre Bergevin. He goes, thanks, you probably not only saved the play, you might have saved my life.
Benefield bearing down. Just bought Calvillo enough time to get rid of that football. Back to the ground, Pringle. Busted a bit more that time. On first down, he picks up about 8.
That takes the one big play. You know, they got the lift from the Alfred Payton touchdown defensively, and they did a nice job of stopping Damon Allen, and now it's the offense's turn to capitalize on that momentum. They get a big play from Thomas Haskins, and they're all of a sudden in field goal range.
2nd and 2. At the BC 38. Calvillo under center and handing off in short yardage. Pringle gets the first down. Sticks move again.
You know, Rod, Pierre Bergevin saved this drive and really saved Calvillo's life, and he may be the smallest of the offensive line in Montreal. Check this out, 1,500 pounds. Now, I want to know, how much is an elephant weigh? Because it's got to be around there somewhere.
There you go.
You know,
there you go.
And some of those, I think they're kind of bullfudging in the program a little bit, like 350 for Fort. That's a bit of a stretch.
Instead of Neil Fort, I like to just call him Fort Neil.
Yeah, Fort Neil, and that's closer to 360, 370 maybe up there.
Big, anyway. On the pass, caught and dropped. No, they say incomplete. Dale Joseph on the coverage, and once again, Thomas Haskins was down there.
Yeah, but Dale Joseph makes a play, and I talked earlier in the game about Dale Joseph. You look across the halfbacks in this league, Dale Joseph keeps with it. So he keeps fighting at that football. Haskins never has possession because Dale Joseph has his arm in there the whole time. And to me, Dale Joseph is the all-star at halfback right now. And I think there's a couple playing well. I think of Jack Kellogg in Calgary. He's having a great year. Baron Miles here in Montreal. But Dale Joseph is putting a blanket on a lot of receivers.
Came over from Saskatchewan last year to BC as a free agent. Calvillo to throw again. Over to his right. Hangs up for Cahoon, but he dropped the ball. Incomplete. Ben Cahoon, who's had a good afternoon, had a sure one there down at the BC 10, but he dropped it.
Well, you know, Joseph again makes the play. And first of all, at the line of scrimmage, it's blocked up perfectly. It was a blitz by the BC Lions, blocked up nicely by Montreal. They gave Calvillo a chance to throw it. Now Cahoon is wide open, but Dale Joseph again won't give up. First of all, it's well blocked up front by the Montreal offensive line. They're going to come with some pressure. See Paul Lacoste, 58 in the middle. He's blocked by Pringle right there. That gives Calvillo a chance. Now he throws it out there and gets it to Cahoon, but Dale Joseph knocks it out of there.
Terry Baker, the field goal try just outside the 40 is good. So 3 more points do go on the board for the Alouettes. They're up by 10 with 10 minutes to go in the 4th quarter.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Gibson's finest 12-year-old Canadian whiskey.
An all-star year, and Dale Joseph came up with back-to-back plays to hold Montreal to a field goal. Watch this. He comes back, he sees the football in the air, and then just go right to the football and go right after it with that strip hand. He did it to Haskins and then Cahoon back-to-back, and that's why Montreal just has 3 on the board instead of a major.
And off the kickoff, Rod Harris takes it in good field position for BC to start with in this 4th quarter as he gets it up over the 40 to about the 43. Under 10 minutes to go now. And the Lions have some work to do. Down by 10. Here comes Damon Allen again.
Big drive right now for the BC offense because they have to respond to a couple of these points by Montreal. They have to come up with a drive. Damon Allen had that sore hand. We'll see if it affects him in this drive, but they need to come up with some points.
That offense looked brilliant, and at various points of this game it has looked brilliant. On the second drive of the game, they marched right down the field and scored the touchdown. And a short reception and a shuffle pass by Robert Drummond. But since then, Alouettes have done a pretty good job defending this high-powered offense. Drummond catches it there over the middle and picks up about 6 or 7 yards. It'll be second and short, BC.
Second down, 3.
The game story brought to you by Walmart. In a 10-point lead for Montreal.
Calvillo's got the edge in yardage. Of course, Damon Allen has the big fumble that cost his team a touchdown. Quarterback draw. Rushing pretty close.
As close as you can get. Yeah, Alfred Payton, the big one. And the time before that, Montreal had fumbled when they were on what looked to be a touchdown march. Handoff there, close to a first down for BC. Robert Drummond with the football.
Well, the Montreal Alouettes have to be really pumped up about the way they played here this afternoon, because if you think back 2 weeks ago in BC Place Stadium, they really didn't play very well in all aspects of the game, special teams and defense especially. And Charlie Tapp was telling me, you know, we gave up a lot of big plays, a lot of yardage, not playing sound defense or sound special teams.
And they have certainly limited BC's big plays this time around.
Well, we haven't talked much about the jet, especially on returns, and that's a credit to them realizing that, you know, that's the guy who beat them the last time. You got to limit the jet, try and get him back on the tarmac. They've done it so far this afternoon.
Done a very good job of that. The third down gamble, third and very short. It looks like BC will move those sticks. They will. First down, Lions.
Well, the Lions have been kind of chipping away offensively. When they have moved the football, it's sort of been 10 here, 5 there. It's really almost time for them to really stretch this defense. Send all those receivers down the field. See if you can get guys turned. Maybe you get one guy in behind the coverage and really stretch them out.
You talk about Montreal limiting them to big play. You're right. I mean, they need the big plays now. Their long drives don't work in their favor when they're down by 10. They need 2 scores to get back in it. There's a completed pass to Rod Harris in Alouette territory. First down right at the 45. Well, it was a year and a week ago. That is the last time the BC Lions lost on the road. That was at Skydome in Toronto. 8 straight games, tied for 4th all time with another BC club back in 84, 85, but 8 straight. That's in jeopardy this afternoon.
You know, and when you look at the streak that Greg Mons has put together and how great the Calgary Stampeders have been in the 90s, the Calgary Stampeders have not beat Greg Mons.
That's phenomenal. 8 straight road wins, but they got some work to do. This might help. Oh, Allen just overthrows Alfred Jackson just beyond the outstretched arms, and that was down at the Montreal 10.
Right, they must have heard us talk about the fact they got to stretch the defense, and they got him on the pump fake Alfred Jackson. You see, when you nickel and dime, you can do this and then go. And that's exactly what you do. See, nickel and dime, and now what you're seeing to bear in mind, see, we're nickel and dime again, and now we're going, see? We're going to stretch it now. We're going to go down the field, but Damon Allen just can't get the football there. It's a game of inches, and that was about 2 of them from becoming a completed pass and a big play for the Lions.
As Allen watches, oh, so close. Second down. Now at 45. Over the middle. This one nearly picked off. It's incomplete. There's an Alouette down there that was closest to the ball going for it. That was Lester Smith.
The umpire turned and waved it off immediately, so there was no question in his mind that this one was incomplete. Looked like, you know, in a simultaneous catch between the offense and the defense, see Smith in there, and then Rod Harris tries to make it look like he was there as well. Here they are right in the middle down here, and you see that Lester Smith guesses right, jumps up into the curl, has his hands on it. If it's a simultaneous catch, it goes to the offense, but the umpire right at the bottom of your screen there waved it off right away.
Louis Pasaglia back in this game, standing at his 52 to get it away. Nice punt. A spiral that'll drive for the corner. Winston October hoping that it will roll to another guy, which it does. Irv Smith takes it with flags go down. He was hoping, though, to draw the no yards, and he indeed does. They could use the yardage, hemmed in deep, but leading by 10 in the fourth. CFL Live. Every seat is filled. 19,461. Another sellout at Molson Stadium. They like coming to these Montreal Alouette games, and why not? They have a winning team, and on a day like today, you don't want to be indoors, right?
Oh, man, you can't. There's no better place to spend an afternoon like this than at a ballpark. It's open-air stadium, and great setting here in Montreal, and you can have a little fun. And they're having fun watching their Alouettes lead this game.
On the campus of McGill University. Anthony Calvillo hands off to Pringle. Nothing doing again. The Lions up front continue to do a very good job on Mr. Pringle. A short gain of maybe a yard.
Well, it's interesting formation, Rod, defensively for the BC Lions, because Raphael Robinson, who usually plays the middle of the field at the safety position of the wrecker of the Stinger, see him? He comes up there into the middle, and it starts in the run support, and they rotate Mike Crum back to the middle of the field, and he plays safety. So change it up to get a little more help down there to stop Pringle.
A long drive now would work wonders in the Alouettes' favor. Up by 10 with the ball deep in their own territory. First down yardage on that completion. Ben Cahoon making amends for dropping one earlier when the Alouettes were driving, and that one out over the 20.
Ben Cahoon's having a pretty good football game. And Ben Cahoon is just going to come up here and run the out pattern. He's going to get a corner in behind it so that no one can cheat off that. Now watch this. Down the field. Get that defensive back even with you so that when you turn around, he takes 2 steps to recover, and then that's enough to get you open. As long as you get even with the defensive back as a receiver, you've won the battle. The DB is a little bit higher than you. He can come back and help on that.
The handoff to Pringle. Grinds his way off to the left side. Anthony Calvillo, another good day, filling in for Tracy Ham. 12 for 19. Remember, he was 20 for 27 last week against the Tiger Cats.
You know, and he's really benefited from Tracy Ham. You know, I mean, Tracy Ham is a guy that takes a guy like Anthony Calvillo and teaches him how to make good decisions, teaches him how to become a professional. And Tracy Ham will help Anthony Calvillo. When he was in Hamilton, he didn't have that kind of help.
Right. And he is wrapped up and taken down that time. However, on second down and long, Johnny Scott with the sack, and they'll be punting again.
Scott gets home, but he's got to go around and thank every one of the defensive backs for the sack, because he was held at the line of scrimmage, and then because Calvillo had really no one to throw to, he's looking down to his left, no one there, look over to the right, no one there, and uh-oh, there is someone right in front of me. It's number 72.
Leading BC with sacks. That's his 6th of the season, and Montreal leading in the sack department for the game, though. That was the Lions' first this afternoon. So good news for BC, because Baker will stand at about his 10, or inside his 10, to get this one away. The Lions should have good field position with Jimmy Cunningham back at the 45 and Rod Harris back with him as well.
You wonder when the jet's going to take off.
I'm sure for Greg Mons, now would be a good time. Any time now. 4:19 and counting down here in the fourth quarter. A wobbler will bounce to the jet. And here we go. Nothing doing. Just a big mass of bodies there near midfield. No return at all after a 39-yard punt. You're watching CFL Live on TSN. Greg Mons. Well, his team is up against it now, down by 10, and you were just telling me another interesting streak that might come to an end today.
Well, they haven't lost in white jerseys great with Greg Mons as their head coach, so that streak could come to an end this afternoon, but maybe it's the karma of the replica jerseys winning over the karma of the white jerseys for BC.
Kind of mixing things up a little bit here. They did win one game in their whites at home. They switched it around and beat Saskatchewan earlier this year. On the receiving end is Eddie Brown from Damon Allen. And already in Alouette territory, down to about the 46 BC. Well, that clock is ticking, 3:40 and counting, and they need a couple of scores.
One of the ways they're going to do it is to get in the hurry-up offense, and it does two things. Simplifies defensively what Montreal can play, and it also keeps them moving, keeps their momentum going, because they need to get a drive here.
Clock still ticking. Out of the shotgun. Quick throw to Rod Harris. And Harris gets it across the 40. About the 39 of the Alouettes.
It can change up the pace, and Joe Paopao was one of the best in the business to throw in Simone when he played in the CFL. Could run the 2-minute offense like as good as anyone. I was going to say Ron Lancaster was one of the best as well, and he's giving that to Damon.
And here's Damon again, throwing. No good on second down. Now you're 10 behind. 2:56 on the clock. And about 4 yards to go. It'll be third down. What will the Lions do? We'll find out when we come back. CFL Live on TSN. Back in Montreal, Louis Passaglia is going to attempt a 47-yard field goal. He's already missed 2 today. Remember, they're down by 10 under 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. Critical. Far enough, but wide again to the left. And Winston October will gladly concede 1 point instead of 3 because...
See, Rod, this is a tough situation for Greg Mons to make this decision. Do you punt the football here from 47 yards out? Normally, that's a field goal that Louis Passaglia can make. There's no wind. If there's a little bit of a breeze, it's behind Passaglia right now. So if he's not injured early in the game, it's an automatic. They try the field goal and miss it, but it was a tough decision for Greg Mons to make, because if they punt the football down into the corner, they have great field position. If they gamble, it's a huge gamble, obviously, at this point in the game to try and do it, because if you don't make it, Montreal gets the ball at midfield. But all these injuries have to be calculated into the decision-making process for the head coach.
So the ball comes right out, as Glenn mentioned, to the 40, where the Alouettes get it. Great field position. They only give up the point, and I was saying how critical, obviously, because a 9-point game. The Alouettes are still in the driver's seat. Or BC still needs 2 scores. Running out of time. 2:43 on the clock. Pringle. This guy will kill a clock and run over a few people while doing it. Mike Pringle, big first down. Bulls his way across midfield. Well, the crunch of the game is brought to you by CarStar Collision Repair Centers. We do a bang-up job every time.
Well, there's a couple that we could pick to be the crunch of the game, but we'll go back to the Jimmy the Jet return. Russon Giddings, watch the hit. Here it comes. Knocks his head right off, or his helmet, excuse me.
Call 1-800-CARSTAR for your nearest location. Alouette football, first down after a big Pringle run, and they keep it on the ground. And Pringle gets about 4 or 5 this time.
Since Louis Passaglia got hurt, he's missed 3 field goals. That means it's a one-point game if he makes those 3 field goals. That's a huge factor, and now they got the ultimate clock killer. And Mike Pringle and Louis Passaglia 0 for 3 after being hurt, and Charlie Taft now will just watch 27 carry the rock.
And we've talked about it before. No one can do it in the fourth quarter the way Pringle does. Keeps pounding and pounding away when defensive players are getting tired, and looks like an offside there against BC. Flags down as David Benefield crosses the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's a big one too, because it puts Montreal right at the first down marker. If in fact it was offside BC and they weren't drawn off, and that's what
offside, it was. BC number 56, first down.
So the sticks move from the Benefield offside. It'll be a first down Montreal.
David Benefield trying to get the run right there. See how he's trying to get the run to the line of scrimmage? And he draws Johnny Scott offside because he's hopping beside him. Johnny Scott jumps into that neutral zone as well on the snap of the football.
A very big penalty that kills more clock, and Montreal has it first down. And there's Pringle again. Mike Pringle rumbling his way to an 8 or 9 yard gain. And the product of Cal State Fullerton, as we'd alluded to before, over 100 yards for the day. Chalk that one up. I believe that's number 50 of his career.
49 times Mike Pringle has rushed for 100 yards. We showed you that earlier in the game. Well, 40 of those games the Alouettes have won. Or his team has won, because he did that a couple times in Baltimore as well. Well, they're winning now, and he's over 100.
And second and short, Calvillo himself calls his number.
Well, it's a good thing Calvillo got down there, because Paul Lacoste came over the top, and Anthony Calvillo decides to try and jump over the pile. There's a heck of a collision there. Paul Lacoste will likely be the BC Lions nominee this year for Rookie of the Year, and you can make an argument that he is the Rookie of the Year. He has played tremendously in the middle at a position that has been a problem spot for the Lions over the last 4 or 5 years.
Product of Mississippi State. It is first down Montreal again. They're just going to grind this clock right down. 1:11. BC may not even get it back. Here's Pringle outside. Now this time they wrap him up a bit better as he gets inside the 30, a gain of only 2.
And this is a very helpless situation if you're playing defense right now, because you know you need the ball back a couple of times, but Mike Pringle just keeps wearing you down and banging it at you, and Greg Muggs can really do nothing but watch. So it looks like you talk about this possibly being a preview for the Grey Cup game. Well, they've split now in the regular season if this score holds.
And both teams would have records of 8-3. Along with the Calgary Stampeders, who defeated the Argos yesterday in an exciting game at McMahon. Pringle carrying again, doesn't get the first down, but gets a little closer, and more importantly gets that clock ticking down to about 43.
Now Calvillo is signaling that he'd like to see a field goal, but Charlie Taft is trying to make the decision here to gamble possibly. He's saying right now his thought process is the BC Lions need the ball twice and score twice. To tie the game, they need a touchdown and a field goal. We kick it now, they need 2 touchdowns, but it's still just 2 possessions of the football. If we keep the ball now and gamble, we could possibly kill the rest of this game. So it's a decision for Charlie Taft.
And I think of things like a missed field goal going in the hands of Jimmy Cunningham, and you never know. I mean, things can go wrong in special teams if you don't get the field goal.
You know, and that's a great point. You got Cunningham back there with a bunch of offensive linemen covering a missed field goal, and that can blow open a hole, and all of a sudden Cunningham's in the end zone. That's 1 possession. Now you do the onside kick, and you have a legitimate chance to win. And this is why they're going to take their time and make sure they make the right decision here. Charlie Taft's going to call a timeout.
The timeout has been called on the field. They talk things over. Calvillo, Charlie Taft. 43 seconds on the clock. 21-12 Montreal looking to improve to 8-3.
And points don't matter here, and this is why they're over there discussing this, because against the East and the West Division in this situation with the 2 front runners, it's not going to matter. So they just want to make sure they can seal the victory, and 2 possessions either way, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, is what BC needs to come back. So Charlie Taft, I think he wants to go for it and try and keep the football in his hands.
They're going for it. Calvillo coming back on. The fans love it.
You know, I like the decision. I really do.
I do too. And I think, as I say, I'm thinking of the danger of a missed field goal. Something like that really turning things around. I mean, a danger of a long return on a missed field goal. But very little time left on this. 3rd down to Pringle. 1st down. As you can tell by the reaction of the crowd, and that will be the ball game. Sticks move for the Alouettes with about 40 seconds left.
Good decision by Charlie Taft, and it's not as tough when you got number 27 in the backfield either. I mean, you know, you decide to go for the gamble. He's just going to hit the line of scrimmage. Nice hold, the point of attack. Again, Pierre Bircheval, who's had a very good game, he opens it up, and Pringle gets the 1st down. It was an interesting decision for a head coach and a rookie head coach, and at that, but I think Charlie Taft made the right one.
And now it's just put it down and let that clock run itself down. Under 20 seconds now. This creates an interesting scenario, especially in the CFL West, Glenn. With Calgary winning yesterday, the Stamps in the season series are down against BC. They've lost both times they played them. They meet next week at BC Place with even records. Calgary has a chance to move alone in first.
And we have that game. Yeah, it's going to be a great showdown in BC Place Stadium.
Anthony Calvillo on a knee, launching his best pass of the day, perhaps, way into the stands. And he's had a great day passing the football. Give the victory to Charlie Tabb. Give the game ball to Alfred Payton, who had 2 sacks and also scored a touchdown on a fumble recovery. The game ball brought to you by Adidas. Long live sport. Montreal answers back. The season series is even. Who knows if they'll meet again in November. 21-12. Back to James Duffy.
Thank you, guys. And yes, once again, he is the greatest clock killer going in football. Mike Pringle does it right down the stretch, and the Owls hold on for the victory. Matt Duncan, as you watch that one, the Owls just played really solid football all game long, both sides of the ball, and really took over in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, talking to the coaching staff, James, Dan McKinnon, receiver coach for the Montreal Alouettes, said that they were not going to change their game plan from the last time they got thrashed out in BC, 44-23. They felt they just didn't execute. Well, what we saw here was the game plan resurrected and with execution. They simply got the job done defensively and offensively. Credit that football team for believing in what they do and doing it well, Chris.
And it really keeps the East tight in the Canadian Football League. You looked at the Hamilton Ticats, came back with a big win over a weakened Winnipeg football team. Toronto Argonauts, don't underestimate them. They've made some changes in personnel. They're going to be competitive. And then these Montreal Alouettes, as long as they do not get down in points in the first half, the second half is theirs. The East is tight, James.
You've really seen some separation. Really 2 tiers now in the CFL. The top teams, you have Toronto, Montreal, and Hamilton in the East, and BC and Calgary really separating themselves from the lower half of the league. The Montreal Alouettes beat the #1 team in the CFL, and now they're tied for the best record in the league as they take the Lions. Next week's schedule, Week 12 in the CFL, we have a couple of games for you. It starts out with Adidas Friday Night Football, 8 o'clock Eastern, the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, perhaps the 2 most desperate teams in the league right now. Alouettes and Ticats, Montreal already 3-0 against Hamilton this season. CBC has that one Saturday afternoon. Stampeders and Lions Saturday evening. We have that one for you, a Great Western matchup, and then the Argos and the Eskimos. Let us run through those and begin with Friday night's game, Saskatchewan and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Not exactly a marquee matchup, but Chris Schultz, these 2 teams desperate for victory.
Well, desperate for victory, but also a little bit of respect in the league. You got to remember that these 2 teams have been constantly criticized throughout the year. As an individual player, more than anything else, you want to get the respect back, respect from other players in your league, their coaching staff. I mean, winning is great in football because there's a good feeling. I'm telling you, when you start losing consistently and constantly, there is tension, constant tension on the practice field, constant tension in all the meetings. It's tough right now in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. Hopefully one of them can emerge as a contender.
We talked about Hamilton. Hamilton looking very impressive yesterday in their victory over the Bombers. They always look impressive against the weak teams. They've struggled with the good teams. The Alouettes, one of those. The Ticats, 0-3 against them so far this season, Matt.
Yeah, this is a game that I would love to see. You've got Hamilton coming off a big victory. Fresh in their minds is that sour defeat there in Montreal. They are 6-5 now, 2 games back of Montreal. There's now 8-3. Out in front of the East. Very critical, pivotal game amongst these 2 teams. Not a whole lot of love lost there either. This is going to be a war, and I'd love to see that one, James.
And the Alouettes come in as the hottest team in the CFL, running their streak to 4 in a row today as they defeat the Lions. Alouettes, the end zone became Peyton's place at the end of the 3rd quarter, and that would be enough. That was the turning point. Montreal goes on to defeat the Lions 21-12.